Good afternoon. The Sacramento City Council will please come to order. Let us call the roll, please, and establish a quorum.
Thank you. Councilmember Ashby. Here. Councilmember Carr. Here. Councilmember Warren. Councilmember Harris. Here. Councilmember Jennings. Here. Councilmember Guerra. Here. Councilmember Chenier. Here. And Mayor Steinberg.
I am here.
And for the record, Vice Mayor Hansen will be absent this evening.
Vice Mayor Hansen is absent this evening. That's okay. Okay. Let us begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone, please rise. Led by Councilmember Harris. Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, members, tonight we have two presentations. We'll then take public testimony on items not on the agenda and then proceed through the main agenda, which includes the 2018-19 city budget. Very important part of the work that we do. But first is a report out from closed session, Madam City Attorney. Nothing to report out. So therefore, let us start with the presentations. I want to begin with presentation number one is continued. Number two, turn it over to Councilmember Ashby to recognize the first female firefighter. Mr. Conlon? The presentation regarding Pastor Cash has been continued. So we're starting with number two.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I'll start. Is that okay, Chris? Or do
That's
you want to?
Absolutely fine.
Do you want to? I'll start. I wanted to do this a couple months ago during Women's History Month, but it was important that we had all the right people in the room. So we'll just pretend it's Women's History Month for a minute. Is that fair enough?
That's excellent.
And today, I think, is Erica here? Okay, good. So Erica, can you just work your way towards the front? And I guess Keith is here somewhere too. Oh yeah, okay, there you are, Keith. All right, so if you guys could be at the ready, that would be wonderful. So Mayor, this is so fantastic. Today we get to honor the first two female firefighters to serve in the Sacramento Fire Department. Their names are Anita Lack and Denny Blem. Where are they at? Will you guys stand up? Yeah, we're not going to let you sit back there. You're going to have to come up here and be recognized and do all the things. So I want to read this resolution, but Chris, do you want to speak before me or after?
That's fine. I can speak before you, and then we can finish with the resolution. So as we sit here today, seeing so many women serve so proudly in places like our fire department, our police department, the military, it's hard to believe that at one time we did not allow this. Back in around the 70s, the only women that really were able to serve in fire departments did it voluntarily. A few of the fire departments tried some experiments with hiring, and it didn't work out well. And I would contend that probably the reason why was they didn't invest in some of the women they were hiring. They just let them come in cold. Fortunately for us, we had a chief by the name of William Powell of our fire department who had vision, insight, and had the willpower to make this work. So he found good recruits, he invested in them, he helped them so that they were able to get ready for the severe testing that you have to go through in order to be a firefighter for a major city like ours. And these two ladies, Anita and Denny, were successful in getting through in April of 1976. Now, that's significant. I'm a dad. I'm getting ready to commission my daughter in the U.S. Naval Academy in 2 weeks. When I joined the Corps back in 1977, this was an impossibility. You could not get women into the Naval Academy. You could not do anything. So as a dad, I can honestly congratulate you too, because you are two of the trendsetters that allowed now me to be able to share that with my daughter. So I'm going to embarrass them just a little bit. Anita Lack was hired in April of 1976. She had a 15-year career as a firefighter. She promoted to engineer in 1981, and she operated every piece of equipment that the fire department had in that day. She assisted with recruitment, entrance exams, was a member of the Firefighter Burn Center Committee, and she was in the firefighting union, and she also helped to organize the initial EMT training, emergency medical training, in our fire department. She retired in 1990 along with her husband, John Lack, who was a division chief for our fire department. Denise Denny Blem, she hired also in 1976, but not before she worked 2 months in the fire department with no pay as a volunteer, because that's the way we used to do it back then. Her first day out of the tower, she responded to a 3-alarm fire, and I understand she had a reputation for any firehouse she worked in. That was always the day when they had the most fires. Is that correct? Yep. Okay. She worked on Let's Read programs at elementary schools, recruitment events, taught first aid, and she was even consulted when San Francisco, our neighbor big city, wanted to hire their first females. They asked her about how to do it. So what a great compliment to her and our department. She was the first female to become pregnant on duty, on the line. And as a result...
I mean, maybe not so much on duty. Wait. Not so much on duty on the line, but like...
This council meeting is rated PG.
It is.
Maybe, yeah.
But as a result, she was able to initiate the policies and make sure that women were able to have children while they were on duty with no unfair results. And that's a great thing too, because that's the way it should be. If we are going to hire women, we expect that we should be able to make allowances so that they can have a family life. That's the way it's supposed to be. She retired in 1998, and thank you so much for your service. Before we do the resolution, I believe I have some coins, and I believe Anita was in 12s. Is that correct? Okay.
Wow, appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. So I really wanted to have these two ladies here so we could celebrate them. I won't read the whole resolution because it basically reiterates the things that Chris said, and just really as a reminder to people that it's important we're not all the way there yet. We have, we do these studies on how many women work for the city and in the fire department. We have a long way to go. But the best way for us to get there is to celebrate the people who figured it out and the trailblazers. And it's important to me as the only woman elected up here at this dais to celebrate women who are here in service to the city of Sacramento who have made a big difference with their lives, and we're all big fans of you. So I know that Erica's here and wanted to say a couple of words, and then we'll come down and take a picture with the council.
And Chief Inucci.
And the chief, yes. All right.
Come over here with me. I'll start. Denny, Anita, thank you for blazing the trail for us. I came on as a young kid. I was 21, looking up to both of you, looking to you for how to act, how to behave. Maybe you didn't know it, but I did watch how you interacted, and I followed your leads, and you made it easier for me. It was 5 years later. We were in the next academy of women. The city wanted to, settle into the first 2 women. And so, there was no plan in place. We didn't have the proper facilities. We didn't have any of that ready, and you figured it out and made it easier for me and for the rest of the women in the workforce. And so, thank you so much for being the ones that, basically being the first kids for the parents, right? I really appreciate how you made it a lot easier for me and for the rest of the women in the department. And so for all of them, I thank you.
I'd just like to reiterate all of that. I came from a department that I was the only woman, and to come to a department where women had already been and blazed a trail made life so much easier. And it was amazing that that women like you guys had already come before and been part of it. And I'm so glad that this finally worked out and we're able to celebrate you guys. And thanks, Erica. Yeah.
This is really important to hear this interaction between these ladies because Erica is a captain in the fire department. Kim is the highest ranking female in our fire department. So
I'm the second.
Are you the second? So to hear them speak to the ladies that blazed the trail for them and see these women who've been able to take the next step and get it even farther is really a big deal. And I hope every little girl watching or every little girl that hears your story knows that she too can be a firefighter in the city of Sacramento. So would love to invite all the firefighters down to the front and maybe we could take a picture. Ladies, would either of you, I know firefighters are usually people of few words, would either of you like to make a couple of comments? Would love to hear from you. Come on over. They promised you didn't have to talk. Okay, we'll just do a picture. All right, Mayor, join me. Council members, let's go. Yeah, Susanna, come on.
Sorry, Liz. Anita. Anita. Never met a mayor before.
Thank you.
It really was.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for the opportunity to honor those first female firefighters. Appreciate that.
Of course. It is always, thank you, Angelique, it is always so important to never take for granted what it took to create what we now take for granted, really. And that is the relative ease which all the barriers which used to exist for women and people of color to enter these professions, it's less now, and work's never done. But to remember what it took and who took the first steps is always worth the time, and so thank you. Let's go now to the last presentation of the day here, and then I'll turn it over to Councilmember Warren.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to ask Dr. Kadir Raja to come up to the microphone and also to bring some wonderful students from Grant High School up to the microphone, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, while they're walking down, please know that Dr. Kadir Raja is a revolutionary educator in the Grant High School, which is in the Twin Rivers School District. And in 2012, he was named California State Teacher of the Year. And he started instituting some programs at Grant High School and really starting with some of the basics. So academics are things that we know are needed, but some of the things that that were not taking place at the high school, and he recognized that maintaining the high school in a certain look, in a certain state, in a certain feel at the high school, creating an energy in the high school. And so the students that you see before you, for 4 months, took time off from their lunch to do something very basic, but something very meaningful. They cleaned up their high school themselves. When paper was thrown out, things wasted in hallways, food, any of the things that you might see walking through a high school, these young people took time off from their lunch for 4 months to clean up their high school. And I thought that warranted bringing them down to City Hall and to recognizing them in a very special way. So first, please give them a round of applause. And then and I want to mention their names. So we have Daniel Chang, Giovanni Cuevas, Isaiah Lozano, Daniel Gomez, Anna Gregorian, Audrey Foster, Taylor Jordan, Marissa Manzo, Elizabeth Ramos, Joanna Leon, Jasmine Ship, and Urza Arsenault. And so I want to hear from Dr. Raja, and then we also have one additional student we're going to recognize for something that's extraordinary, and I think we would all appreciate it. So, Dr. Raja, would you speak and talk about the motivation for asking these young kids or young students to do something that is really out of the ordinary for high school students to do?
Do we talk this way or this way?
No, you talk this way. There you go.
Okay. Want to make sure. All right. So thank you. My name is Kadir Raja, Dr. Raja. I'm one of the vice principals at Grant Union High School. So basically, our purpose as educators, we have many purposes. One of our purposes is to impart skills, knowledge to our students, have them become creative, innovative thinkers, problem solvers, instill in them the value of social justice, giving back to their community, making an impact with all the skills they learn in the classroom. But another purpose as educators is for our students to take ownership of their campus, take ownership of their environment, to respect their environment so that the environment is a healthy place and a conducive place for you to learn and for us as staff to work in, right? Because Grant High School is not only a school for our students, it's also a community center for the entire community of Del Paso Heights. So it's much bigger than just an academic center. So one of our challenges at Grant High School was we have a large campus. We have 2,000 students, and we have the whole community that uses our school. We have been struggling to keep it clean because it's such a huge campus and it's so spread out. So what we did was we worked with our custodial staff and we put a shout out to our students. How can we solve this problem? How can we help create an environment that's conducive to learning, that's healthy, that's clean? So we divided our school up into zones, into 10 different zones. And these wonderful students decided that they were going to take it upon themselves. 2 students per zone. So every lunch for the last 4 months, we would have 2 students per zone in our school, and their responsibility was to help clean up that zone and to maintain the cleanliness, right? So they would be there with their reachers and their pickers and with their orange vests, and they'd really be trying to maintain the cleanliness of their zone. So as a result, our school is a lot cleaner. They've definitely, I would say, instilled a spirit within the entire campus, the entire student body, that it is important to respect our environment, to take pride in our environment. And I would definitely say they've transformed the culture at our school. So I really want to appreciate, Mr. Warren and for your support, and definitely want to appreciate you guys for doing a great job. So thank you.
And so there's one other student from Grant High School. Is Deanna Jordan here?
Diana Jordan.
Diana, would you come up to the front, please? So as another shining example of a true leader and a person that has done extraordinary work, Diana was the school valedictorian at Grant High School. Yeah. And so we're very... We're very proud of Diana, and I know members of her family as well. And next year, ladies and gentlemen, Diana will be going to Stanford University. So, Diana, would you like to say a few words?
Okay, hi guys. I guess I'll just do a brief introduction. So yeah, I'm a valedictorian at my school and actually reached the highest GPA in the history of our school.
What was your GPA?
For my valedictorian speech, one of the main things I wanted to talk about was our school is located in a poor community. Both of my parents are unemployed. I've worked at McDonald's. I've done the struggle. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was how our community has lost a lot of hope. They feel like there's no point in working hard, there's no point in striving for big dreams and big goals because the poor stay poor. And so growing up, even though I lived in the hood, in the ghetto or whatever, I knew that no matter what, I was not letting poverty, homelessness, drug issues stop me from achieving my goals. And so through my valedictorian speech, I hope to inspire everyone in the community to work hard, and it really does pay off. I mean, I ended with a 4.8 GPA my senior year. You know, there's a lot of great opportunities that Grant offers. I've been able to work for the United States Forest Service. I've done awesome things, and I want the poor poverty community to know that there's something out there for you. Just you have to take the opportunities that are presented to you. Even if it feels like, oh, I don't want to waste my time because nothing's good going to come out of it. It does. I mean, I'm going to Stanford, and it's amazing. It's a blessing. And so if there's one thing I want to say is just me, myself, when I go off to college, I hope to spread the message to the Stanford community about where I come from and my values, and instilling hope into the poor communities and the diverse communities and every minority that there is a way to make it through. And yeah, I'm excited.
All right, yeah.
Wow.
I'd like to, first of all, I'd like to come down and we're going to take a couple pictures. I'm going to have something for you guys that each of you will get. You won't get it tonight, but we will have something for you. And I do want you all to have a chance to shake the mayor's hand, okay? The mayor of Sacramento.
It would be my honor.
Mr.
Really.
Mayor, would you join me down to take a picture, please?
I just want to say, I hope that during your breaks from Stanford that you will come back and talk to the juniors and seniors and sophomores about your story and tell it in the way you just told it, because it's pretty infectious.
Yes.
In a great way. Congratulations to all of you. It's great.
Lucky camera guy. On three, you guys. 1, 2, 3.
Pacers.
Okay, very good, everyone. I think what we'll do next, before we get to the larger number of amount of public testimony on the agenda, let's do the consent calendar first, because we only have two members of the public signed up to speak, and we can appropriately dispense with the consent calendar. Are there any questions from members on any of the items, or any? Number 4. Okay, number 4. Do we want to separate it for a vote, or you just want to speak on it? Okay, go ahead. Why don't we go first with Councilmember Harris on item 4? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
You know, this is an economic development investment initiative in District 2. And I'd just like to say that this actually, a good chunk of the money of this came out of discussions about standing up a triage shelter on Railroad Drive. And I think it's great. You know, District 2 has needed investment for a long time. I think we all know that the money that was put in with redevelopment back when made a lot of difference in D2, but then after redevelopment, it kind of went downhill. So I think it's great that they are being the beneficiary of what is also a really great thing, which is our winter triage shelter. So, you know, sometimes good can lead to good, and I think that that's the situation that's happened here. You know, in terms of equity, there are many areas in the city that could use the same money, and we have to keep our eye on that ball because, you know, the same is true of Northgate Gardenland, the same is true of Meadowview, Mack Road, Stockton Boulevard. So my colleague, Councilmember Warren, is the beneficiary of a pretty good economic bump, and I'm sure that he'll take this and try to leverage it and make sure that his community prospers well with this infusion of money.
Thank you, sir.
Can you guys, nobody's coming up on the speaker queue
Not
here.
coming up?
That's okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to, again, item 4 is an item to establish a economic engine, essentially, to help administer funds in District 2, some of which came out of the mitigation measures that this council supported when the winter triage facility was approved for Railroad Avenue. And as Councilman Harris said, there are a number of good things that have come out of having the winter triage facility, and I know we're going to hear some more about that at some point. But in addition to helping the homeless, we also thought it very important that we have a recognition for the communities in which these facilities would operate in. And the council, I think, made a very, very good decision when we decided to place some funds in a system, in a mechanism that can then be either loaned or some of which may even be granted to members of the community, business organizations that are really revitalizing the Del Paso Boulevard corridor. And if you have not been there recently, you should take a drive down Del Paso Boulevard and look at the restaurants that are popping up, breweries, there's a new grocery store in the construction, there's housing being planned on the boulevard. And so this is intended to really help. We have an iconic ice skating ring that's been there for years that's in need of some support as well. So I just want to thank the council for recognizing that this was a big deal. It was a big deal to get the winter triage facility, and it was a big deal to have the mitigation funds. And in addition to the mitigation funds, there was also some residual redevelopment money that we also put into the same pot. We had about almost $700,000 that went into it as well. And so we're looking for some continued growth and exciting things to happen in District 2, particularly along Del Paso Boulevard. And we think that this is going to be a wonderful opportunity for injections of economic stimulus in the community. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Ashby is up, and I have a brief comment as well.
Thanks, Mayor. Are there public comments for this item?
Number 4.
There is, yes. There are? Okay. Do you want to speak? I can speak before them, I suppose. I just wanted to take the moment, too, to say that I'm glad to see this item on the agenda and on consent, and I wanted to add my voice to sort of the chorus of thank yous, not just to Councilmember Warren, who really, took this issue on, but also to the neighborhoods, Dixie Ann, Old North, Del Paso Boulevard, Wood Lake, who stayed engaged in these conversations, and they were difficult, but they hung in there with the mayor and with Alan and with the city, and they were great, and Jeff, and they were great partners to this effort. So I wanted to just add my voice to a thank you to the people of those communities for participating and being a part of it. And I too hope, I haven't looked too much into how these funds are going to be used, but I hope that it, helps bolster the boulevard too. I hope that all the businesses there feel a positive effect from this funding, because that's what it's intended to do. So I echo Councilmember Harris's comments on that.
Let's get a roof on Iceland.
So the only, I congratulate Councilmember Warren as well. It's totally appropriate. But I also hear Councilmember Harris, and he's very supportive, of course, but mentioning, Northgate Boulevard and other parts of the city. And so, I'll be a broken record for the many months ahead. We should not have to constantly make these choices that we can invest in one needy neighborhood and not another. And we need more capacity, especially around neighborhood-based economic development. You heard my speech last week, some of you, or read about it. It's going to be a continued refrain, because a year from now, or 6 months from now, we ought to be able to be back at this dais to say more resources for North Sacramento to continue its momentum, resources for Northgate, Marina Vista, Alder Grove, the Warehouse District in the River District, South Sacramento, and on and on. Can't just continue to be not even fighting, but compromising with ourselves all the time over such a small pot. So I support this. I think it's terrific. Let us move forward. We have 2 witnesses here.
I have 2 speakers on the consent calendar, but first, for our audience here and at home, just wanted to remind you this meeting is being video streamed and can be viewed live on the city's website or viewed later from the archive files. Members of the public who wish to address the council should complete a speaker slip, which can be found at the back of the room, and speaker slips do need to be turned into the clerk prior to the beginning of each item. And so that everyone has the opportunity to address the council, members of the public are asked to observe the rules of decorum. The council rules of procedure outline the decorum expected in the chambers and can be found on our website. A copy is in the back of the room and is summarized on the back of our speaker slip. For instance, use of swear words, yelling from the audience, physically threatening conduct, and displays of disrespect are discouraged. The presiding officer will request that a person cease disruptive conduct, and if not immediately stopped, the presiding officer will direct the person to leave the council meeting. And each speaker does have 2 minutes to address the council. A cordless microphone or assisted listening device is available from the city clerk. Please silence your cell phones or other communication devices and refrain from using flash photography or lights on video equipment. And parking validations are also available from the clerk at the front of the room. So our 2 speakers are Michael Chaves on item number 4 and then Jeffrey Tartagia on item number 3. Mr. Chaves?
Mayor, Council, thank you for letting me speak today. I'm here to let you know I'm in District 2 on Del Paso Boulevard. I'm actually one of the first retailers that people hit coming out of downtown. I'm kind of down in an area that's not being developed that much as far as, the only thing to offer on south of Arden is me for food and beverage, drinks, and coffee and whatnot. I came to Sacramento about 5 years ago and started this business with nothing. And so this kind of grant loans or what's being offered is going to help me a lot to offer more at my shop and in that community. I survived with the community's help and some hard work. So I want to thank you, and I want to support this measure. And
Mayor?
Thank you, everybody.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
What's the name of your business?
Son of a Bean, SOB. I'm the SOB
Thank
of
you.
Sacramento.
We want to help. So.
Yeah, there you go. but I really love the area. I came from Stockton, and did my best right here in Del Paso. And it's been hard dealing with other issues that everybody else deals with, but I believe in the community, and I think it'll grow, and I can't wait to see something outside my front window besides dirt. So hopefully we can develop that area to get more foot traffic down in our area instead of more or less down the other side of Del Paso. So I want to thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thanks for investing in Sacramento. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Next speaker is Jeffrey Tartagia on item number 3.
Yes. I hope you remember your history, because Memorial Auditorium, Wurlitzer, Oregon. I hope that when you're going to the digital that you preserve the old system, the pipes and that original, should we say, device. There are so few of them left anymore that are in operation. It is a shame, and I hope the digital will be at least equivalent of quality, knowing that we have gone to so much electronics these days. Yes, I have diverse interests, but this is something that I hope we remember to preserve things. And Memorial Auditorium, as it evolves and changes, that remember its past.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey. That was item 3 you were commenting on. Appreciate
Item 3, dealing with the updating to digital.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, that's it's moved by Councilmember Chenier, second by Councilmember Jennings. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained. The consent calendar passes unanimously. Now let's take public testimony on items not on tonight's agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 47 speakers signed up for matters not on the agenda. The first is
47 speakers. Really?
the first.
I want to ask this here. I'm going to ask this. For everyone who is here on rent stabilization or rent control, let me make it clear you are all welcome to speak. That is your right, and we welcome you. However, those of you who have come in an organized fashion, I would ask if maybe you would kind of get together in the back and see if you might pick 10 of you or 7 of you to represent the group and have everybody else stand and be recognized and acknowledged. Because I think that the body would appreciate it. I know I would. We know your message is strong, and we look forward to hearing from you. Your choice, but I would appreciate it.
Thank you. Our first speaker is Cynthia Sperling, then Michael Voy, then Regina Brink. Ms. Sperling? Yes. And if folks do want to line up in the middle aisle, that would be appreciated. Ms. Sperling?
Okay, I'm here again. I'm talking for homeless seniors, but not just homeless seniors. I'm talking for a lot of homeless. I've gotten no help from the city. Emily, who is supposed to be the city homeless service coordinator, won't even return a phone call. I'm getting help from the county, not the city. The city wants us to go away. I went to Shira, and they said, well, you need to prove you're homeless. How do you do that? Well, people tell me I have to go down someplace official and have them fill out a form saying I don't have a place to live. They want 6 months worth of PG&E bills. I don't have those. I'm homeless. This is crazy that you're sending me around doing these that are not helping. This is what seniors are running into. They are not getting return phone calls. They are not getting anybody helping. The city is just falling slack in any regard to helping any of us find something we can afford to live. So you need to work on that. Seniors are out there. Seniors are homeless. When I left here, I met two men, 155, 165. Neither one of them even knew where to go to get help. You need to get information out to people. I get it out to them. Why can't you?
My next speaker is Michael Voy, then Regina Brink, then Fabrizio Sasso.
Evening, Mayor, council members. I'm going to.
Boy, if you could speak into the mic, please, just hard to hear.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
I'm just
Good.
positioning the.
Okay.
I'm speaking on cannabis equity because it was pulled, and I think it's a good idea that it was pulled, and I'm hoping that what I say will keep it from coming back. Pictured we have here is Julius Thibodeau, who's the local leader of Advanced Peace, which is one of the programs that the city is sponsoring. And there was an extensive article about him in the May 31st issue of the Sacramento Bee. And I really want to just read a short quote from him, talking about something when he had his aha moment to do the work that he does, the motivation for becoming who he's become. And he says, as they walked past, they said, "I bet those guys over there are bragging about how they destroyed their own communities," Thibodeau said. "I was offended and I was angry, but it was the truth. It was just like, wow, I had never looked at it in that light. At the end of the day, I was preying on my own community, preying on the weakness in my community," he said, "of selling drugs." And so that's how I've always viewed this equity program, is people preying on the weak. And I think I've said that to the mayor directly. I've said, you can't build a city preying on the weak. I've said that before. It's interesting to see that somebody who's lived the life recognizes that. I think it's important for the council to recognize that as well. I know you have good intentions with equity, but you're putting money into this program, and then you're putting money into something that makes this program necessary. You're funding opposites. Put the money, the people that need help in rebuilding their lives because the war on drugs
Before your 2 minutes
failed.
is complete, will you make your final comment?
Sure. The money that you're putting into the people that failed in the war on drugs should be something that actually helps them and their community.
Thank you, Mr.
Not
Boyd.
the opposition.
Our next speaker is Regina Brink, then Fabrizio Sasso, then Sally Sapiro.
Okay. I hope you can hear me.
We hear you fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I am here to speak just to keep in the front of our minds that police reform is very necessary for a city to thrive, and to remember Stephen Clark. He is someone that my children knew, and not only that, my children, when you meet them, are black. That is how they appear, and that is how they're characterized, regardless of what they see themselves as, which is biracial. So I'm Latina as well, and so I grew up in a neighborhood that was a lot like Stefan's neighborhood. We live in the South area still off of 24th Street, and my doorbell is broken, and my children own cell phones, and they were having trouble getting in. My gate is locked. They hopped over the fence and tried to knock on the back door, and they finally pulled out their cell phone, and I heard the phone and answered the door without incident. But it occurred to me that that could have been a very bad situation if something had broken out, and all we have is a broken doorbell. It is getting repaired. But think about that's what crossed my mind. One of my children could have been dead because of some miscommunication or mishandling of a situation. I also want to again reiterate that over half, there's plenty of evidence in different studies that over half of the unarmed people nationwide have a disability of some sort, either sight impaired, but more likely mentally, cognitively impaired, or hearing impaired. Because obviously, if you can't hear the instructions given to you, you can't possibly comply. If you can't understand the instructions given to you.
Ms. Brink, your 2 minutes is complete. Will you make your final comment, please?
Thank you. Or if you can't see the police officer and they don't identify themselves. So keep that in the forefront of our minds. I really love Sacramento and I want them to improve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe Sasso and then Sally Sapiro.
Mayor, council members, you know I like to talk, but I'll save my comments for a future council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Fabrizio.
Next speaker is Sally Sapiro, then David Wong, then Annabelle Vera.
I propose 2% for the homeless and $1 per arena ticket. And I'm reading a poem called Home One. The glittering, shimmering towers, our civilization shows its powers. The spire points not toward heaven, but away from the mud of our leaven. The four-wheeled beasts of prey transport the mindless in their heyday to places where they can forget that their lives reek of spiritual debt. Under bridges and in doorways, lying in disarray, the product of our corruption, the picture of our moral bankruption, forced to not participate, sitting at the gate to wait for the day we must abdicate the systemic greed that is our fate, creating perennial fear. Our neighbors are not always dear. We see the needless suffering and feel we can't do a damn thing.
Next speaker is David Wong, then Annabelle Vera, then Eileen Joy.
Hello, my name is David Wong. I'm a member of a service employee in National Union Local 1021, and I'm also an employee with the Sacramento School District. Well, the rising cost basically is forcing a lot of people out of their home. Like recently, I found out that one of my fellow union member, her name's Olivia Mayo. She's a bus driver for the Sac School District. She's going to be evicted, and she's including herself as a family of 5, so she got to find a new home. And last month, another union member, his name is Bruce Boyer. He received his 60-day notice of eviction. He might found a new place to live, but he got come up with $2,400 for a deposit. And then I've been found this issue of rise in rent control. Like there's a person named Maria Camacho. On Valentine's Day, she got evicted, and she have a son that's 4 years old, and I'm not sure what's her situation. Is she homeless? She's staying with friends? And another person I know is a person named Curtis Pearl. He got evicted. And the last thing I want to mention is I know a woman named Nicole. She have a sister named Julie, and her sister is a special need adult who receive SSI check, and her SSI check will not cover her rent costs and her other living expense. But
Mr. Wong, your 2 minutes is complete. Will you make your final comment?
okay, But in Julie's case, her sister Nicole happened to own some rental property, so she's able to move into her sister's rental property. But most people is not that lucky.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Our next speaker is Annabelle Vera, then Eileen Joy, then David Scholl.
Hello, my name is Annabelle Vera. I'm a member of Democratic Socialists of America. I'm also a full-time employee at the UC Davis School of Medicine. I currently live in District 5, but in August I'll be moving to District 3. This August will be the third time I've moved rental units in the past 3 years. It's clear by now that our unregulated rental market makes it impossible for any of us to settle down in a stable community. It's like as soon as I move into a new unit, I know the clock is counting down to when I'll have to pack up and move again. I was only in my current apartment for 8 months before I received a notice that my lease was being terminated. In the apartment before that, I had to move because I got a $300 rent increase, despite it being a 50-year-old building with a skunk infestation. Without rent control and just cause eviction, there's nothing we renters can do to help prevent any of this from happening. It doesn't matter if you're a good tenant, it doesn't matter if you pay your rent on time, it doesn't matter if you contribute to your community. It doesn't matter that you work hard all day at your job when rent is rising faster than your wages are rising. I walk a mile each day to work right now, and it's great to be able to walk by the same neighbors and shop workers every day and just to say hello and form some community bonds. And it's not fair that I have to give that up because I can't afford a $300 rent increase, or simply because my landlord decided one day, for no reason, that I just don't get to live there anymore. So I'm asking the City Council, put the safety and stability of residents first, because the value we bring to Sacramento is more than just the dollar value we pay in rent. It's not fair that I have to prove I'm worthy of living in Sacramento by the amount of money I can pay. Please support rent stabilization and just cause eviction protections for Sacramentans, because families and residents are in crisis, and it's the moral thing to do.
Our next speaker is Eileen Joy, then David Schwiegel, then Tristan Brown. Thank you. David Schwiegel, then Tristan Brown, then Cameron Latchford.
Greetings, Sacramento City Council. David Schwegel, U.S. High-Speed Rail. I served on the regional consulting team on the Merced to Sacramento section of the statewide high-speed rail project, and that's when I learned that we are horribly overlooked as a region. We have the nation's largest urban infill project, the state's second busiest Amtrak station. We're the capital of the world's fifth largest economy, and the lowest hanging fruit to the first construction segment, yet somehow the project's rock-bottom priority. On a more positive note, I am looking forward to discussions at the upcoming High-Speed Rail Leadership Summit in the Silicon Valley in September on how Excella Express-type service on the Capital and Altamont corridors would boost our standing as a technology magnet. The intersection of food, agriculture, and technology is the sweet spot, per the Brookings Institute, for economic prosperity. Food and ag are well represented here at home, with Aggie Square being a great first step in this technology magnet quest. Sell Silicon Valley tech leaders on the value of being at the heart of food and agriculture, with an extraordinary workforce right here in Sacramento at their fingertips. 40% of Bay Area and Silicon Valley residents surveyed say they would like more breathing room and increased affordability, and they will find a warm welcome here. Boosting our manufacturing base would work wonders in stimulating our economy, with local manufacturing powerhouses like Siemens building state-of-the-art passenger rail vehicles for ACE, Capital Corridor, and SAC-RT. Finally, let's be a windfall for all model for the rest of the nation to follow by bringing more light green to these maps and ending homelessness. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tristan Brown, then Cameron Latchford, then Jonah Paul.
Thank you, Mayor and Council members. My name is Tristan Brown. I come before you regarding a matter of great moral imperative. Many times in our history, we have suffered from extreme conditions that threaten the ability to live in Sacramento. From great floods to great droughts, Sacramento altered nature with levees and reservoirs, and we even raised our city up an entire story to avoid the waters. Now our city suffers from extreme housing costs, and once again, we must alter the course of nature to keep Sacramento a place in which we may all live. By nature, I do not mean, of course, things like weather patterns, but the huge force of the marketplace that dictates our housing options. Any child that has played the game of Monopoly understands the rules that allow for some to win and many to lose. The roll of the dice sets one player on a path that may be different from another. Our history of redlining and displacement of entire communities for the development of skyscrapers and highways has set Sacramento families on very different paths of their own. Throw in discrimination by law or by custom, the constraints on making a living on the service industry wages, the shackles of education debt, healthcare costs, childcare costs, or inadequate amounts of assistance that our elderly or those living with disabilities must survive on, and it's shocking that any of us are able to pass go from year to year. We learned in the game that those who were lucky enough by the roll of the dice to own property won our superposition to the rest of us. In life, our own roll of the dice, where we are born, and to what socioeconomic status that we are born into greatly affects our ability to own property or not. Rents in Sacramento have risen by double digits in the last few years, and many individuals who have been raised here or came here to learn at our universities, give service to our state, are unable to meet the demands of the market on our rents. I've heard from many residents, as you might imagine lately, who have seen their rents go up by hundreds of dollars per month from one year to the next merely due to the market forces. I come before you about this serious affliction of our city, not because it is a reflection upon you, but because I could no longer allow our fellow human beings to struggle and be homeless as a reflection upon me. We all live under this great social contract for one another, but I no longer wish for our community to cast out those who cannot afford to live here merely because a corporation has determined something for better. Do you want to say it? No.
Your 2 minutes is complete. Will you make your final comment?
Merely because a corporation has determined it's better for their shareholders this quarter. Please support the rent stabilization and just cause eviction protections for Sacramentans because families are in crisis and it's a moral thing to do. Thank you.
Next speaker is Cameron Latchford, then Jonah Paul, then Robert Copeland.
Mayor Steinberg, council members, hello, good evening. My name is Cameron Latchford, and I'm here to speak in favor of a rent control and just cause eviction. I was asked to speak about, my own story, but I believe it's important to speak about several of my friends that are going through the same thing that I'm going through. So, first of all, I'm used to moving around from place to place because I don't really have a family. I come from a history of abuse, and I'm going to have to leave Sacramento next week because my rent was raised by $300. And I'm living in an apartment complex built in the 1930s with no air conditioning and a rat infestation, and it's just disappointing. But even more so, I'd like to tell the story about my close friend, who I'm just going to call T because she doesn't want me to say her real name. Her and her family, they started out living in a nice house, and over time they've had to move to smaller and smaller apartments to the point that they were staying in a small 2-bedroom apartment on Watt Avenue. And recently they were evicted for basically no reason because some neighbors spray painted some racial slurs on their door and were constantly banging up against their doors and windows. And T's mom came out and was justifiably outraged at these racist neighbors. And the landlord came out and said to T's family, I'm giving you a 60-day notice, you're out. And we all agree that this is caused by racism. And I'm just very, very concerned. And finally, I feel very guilty because T's dog has been staying with me for months, and now her dog has nowhere to go and is going to have to be on the streets. And T tells me that...
Mr. Latchford, your 2 minutes is complete. Will you make your final comment?
Yes.
Thank you.
So my friend suffers from very severe depression, and the dog is a source of comfort to her, and now her dog is going to have to be on the streets because the dog has nowhere to go, and this is just very sad to me.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Our next speaker is Jonah Paul, Robert Copeland, and LB.
My name is Jonah Paul, and I'm with Sacramento DSA, a partner in the Housing for Sacramento Coalition. I currently live in Oak Park, and have lived in Sacramento all my life. I just wanted to note that last week we paid homage to the Fair Housing Act. It was the 50th anniversary, and I think it's time that Sacramento renewed its commitment to fair housing here. I love our community and our city, but the city does not love us back. It took my girlfriend and I 6 months to find an apartment that we could afford and start a life together. But as soon as we settled in, received bad news that our building was sold to new owners. We were anxious. The new landlord seemed nice enough, but they casually would complain to us about their money problems, a sign that something was seriously wrong. Next, the landlords penalized our African-American neighbors. One was evicted outright. They were on fixed income. Our next-door neighbor, Bill, lost a security deposit for failure of the building's aging plumbing system. Bill had colon cancer when he lost his deposit. The landlords knew about his condition. That didn't stop them from posting a no-fault eviction notice on his door. They told us they needed to renovate to make their investment pay off. Bill had lived there the longest, had taken care of the property like he owned it. He would bring all the neighbors' vegetables from his garden plot and host barbecues. They targeted him, and not me, healthy, young, and able, simply because of their bigotry. I offered to help him, to help organize, but he was going through an aggressive cancer treatment, and he didn't have the energy. I quote, "I told them that this was the worst time in my entire life that you could do this," Bill said. "They told me, maybe this will be good for you, a new change in your life. It was the most disgraceful thing I've ever experienced," he said. Shortly after, we received a $300 rent increase and were forced out.
Your 2 minutes is complete. Will you make your final comment, please?
It's imperative that you support rent control and just cause eviction to prevent these things from happening in Sacramento. We need fair housing. We need fairness for everyone here. Thank you.
Next speaker is Robert Copeland, then LB, then Andy Sutherland. Andy Sunderland.
You've been hearing story after story last week and this week and next week. And we need rent control and just cause evictions because it's a fair thing to do. Did you know that you need to make $31 an hour to rent an average 2-bedroom apartment in California? And we have the highest rent increase by percentage rate in the entire nation. And what are we getting for it? Not a thing. We got people going homeless. People have to move out, find a more expensive, cheaper place that's smaller. And this will help the economy if we had more housing being built that's low income, because people can spend it in their neighborhood, in the stores. It can bring jobs into Sacramento. I'm sure that Mayor Steinberg and City Council, and we agree that's a good thing. If we had more jobs that people can actually live on. So I want to say we need a rent control and just cause because it's a moral thing to do. Thank you.
The next speaker is LB, then Andy Sunderland, then Breon Mays.
All right. Just wanted to remind you guys, a lot of the people that are here are speaking on different topics, but just a reminder, an oppression of one group is an oppression of all, which includes the people that are unhoused, which includes the people that are still being brutalized by you people, the state and the police. So I just want to remind you, we are still here asking for justice. We start off with a smaller list, but every month it seems to be getting longer and longer. Justice for Claudia Patricia Gomez, Roxana Hernandez, and the many people harmed by ICE and law enforcement. Justice for Brandon Ellington, Stephen Clark, Adrian Ludd, Dejan Flanall, Joseph Mann, Lorenzo Cruz, Desmond Phillips, Michael McIntyre, Ryan Ellis. We still have not gotten any justice. We demand justice for Black and brown lives. We are not politely requesting. We will take it without approval or permission. We cannot be afraid to face this terror. Ask yourself, how much more injustice to bear? Ask yourself, how much more suffering must we endure until we decide, even if we must die, fight for liberation. They who sit there, they do not care for our existence. They don't even abide to their own laws. We must show that our lives matter unequivocally, undeniably. We can no longer be patient or stall. We ask for complacency and They ask for complacency and compliance, demanding our silence. Will we continue to be deaf and blind? To be victim of their design?
LB,
How
your 2
can
minutes
we
is-
remain
Make your
still
final
when
comments.
our sisters and brothers are killed? Are we not part of the whole? Can we continue to do as we are told?
Thank you. Next speaker is Andy Sunderland, then Breon Mays, then James Jackson.
I think that Sunderland is passing.
Andy's passing. Breon Mays, then James Jackson. Breon.
Welcome.
So, here to speak on behalf of Brandon Smith. Died in police custody June 6th, last week, Wednesday. Whether you are aware or not, you should be. It's happening countless times, period after period, time after time. You guys are here to protect us, right? No. Protect and serve? That's what the police force is, right? That's what they're for? But instead you make us scared of them. Brandon Smith is not a nobody. He's a father. He's a son, hard worker, and etc. Not just a nobody for you guys to look past. Understand. Justice should be served. And as far as the police force, got to do something about it. It's really no words to explain what you guys are out here doing. You know, you sit right here, you're disrespectful when people talk. Put your head down. You're picking your nose. You're the mayor. I will call you out by name. But I don't think you deserve it. You know, so we do want justice for Brandon Smith and the countless numbers of humans that have happened to before, which I'm not going to name. It's too many.
Mr. Mayor, your
Justice
time
for
is
Brandon
complete.
Smith.
Will you make the final comments, please?
Justice for Brandon Smith. Justice for Brandon Smith.
Justice for Brandon Smith!
Justice for Brandon Smith!
Next.
My next speaker is James Jackson, then Sonia Lewis, then Veronica Beatty.
One time you're going to leave.
City Council, I had a whole thing written out today, but for the sake of time, to give my comrades the space, I am going to just say you absolutely should support rent control, you absolutely should support just cause eviction, and it is absolutely inexcusable and disgusting that black and brown lives are still being slaughtered by our police force. Thank you.
Next speaker is Sonia Lewis, then Veronica Beatty, then Samantha Corbin.
Trauma. It's a noun. Deeply distressing and disturbing experiences. A personal trauma like but not limited to death or murder. synonymous with injury, damage, or wound. Psychological trauma may set in. Sufferers may develop extreme anxiety, anger, sadness, or PTSD, or they may have ongoing problems with sleep and physical pain, and even relationship and self-esteem problems. Many people overcome trauma, offering inspiration to others who have had life-altering experiences. But Black folks typically don't heal from trauma because the wounds stay open and bleeding and oozing with mucus, signs of infection, because they get reopened and continue to bleed and ooze. The Black community here in Sacramento, throughout the state of California and this country, has historically been suffering with open wounds due to trauma that is due to state-sanctioned violence in which all of you are complicit. From killing us in the streets to in custody deaths via broken hearts and open wounds that are still bleeding and oozing, you are complicit. You are tools of this broken system that is utterly killing humanity. I'm challenging all of you, whether you agree or not, but for the sake of argument, that Black lives have not mattered like white lives. This is evident in historical foundation of colonialism, slavery, white supremacy, which today looks like white privilege and diversity, both of whom perpetuate and exacerbate all of the wrong that is involved in the two starkly different Americas in which we live. Last week, I heard about Brandon Smith, and I thought about Freddie Gray and Baltimore, and I'd ask,
Will you make your final comment?
And I'd ask, when all of you get off your asses and raise the standard, and in how this police force actually protects and serves Black bodies, while I am an abolitionist and believe that this system is too broken to fix.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis.
What? You cannot do this.
Our next speaker is Veronica.
Ma'am, your 2 minutes are up.
The city manager to fire police officers who kill us.
Okay, ma'am, your 2 minutes are up.
Lewis.
Accountability and transparency are just buzzwords to you because they mean absolutely
Ma'am.
nothing when you continue to sit back and not protect Black bodies.
Ms. Lewis, you are disrupting the meeting. Members get 2 minutes. If you continue to disrupt the meeting, I'm going to ask you to leave. All right, ma'am? I have warned you, your time is up.
She's finished now.
And if there's anyone else shouting out from the audience in the middle of testimony, be warned that you are disrupting the public meeting, and I will ask you to leave under the rules that Ms. Cuppy, our city clerk, announced earlier. We maintain decorum. You can express your emotion, be angry, but you're not going to disrupt the meeting, period. You, out. You're disrupting the meeting. I want you out.
Didn't say anything. Fuck you.
You, see you later. Good. You're not welcome back either. See you later. Now.
Our next speaker is Veronica Beatty, then Samantha Corbin, then Alexander Clark.
Good evening. I'm Veronica Beatty, the Policy Director of the Sacramento Housing Alliance.
Welcome.
Thank you. As a membership organization consisting of affordable housing developers, service providers, elected officials, advocates, community leaders, and businesses working for housing justice, the Sacramento Housing Alliance believes that all people in the Sacramento region should have an affordable home in a healthy and inclusive neighborhood. SHA is a member of the Housing for Sacramento Coalition because we believe rent stabilization can make that possible. The Housing Alliance is deeply concerned with our affordable housing crisis. As a county, we need more than 58,000 affordable homes to meet the needs of our renters. And we know that the housing crisis is a moral crisis as well. Month after month, we've seen rents in Sacramento rise beyond what the average renter can afford. At best, this leaves families choosing between paying their rent or buying food, bus passes, or medicine. At worst, it puts people on the street. Research shows that for every $100 increase in average asking rents, metropolitan areas see as much as a 30% increase in homelessness, and we've seen exactly that play out in Sacramento. If we're serious about ending homelessness in Sacramento, and I believe we are, we have to present it as well. And that means putting some kind of check on the kinds of rent increases and evictions that are ruining our neighbors' lives every day. Sacramento's increasing housing instability threatens the fabric of our community, as you've heard from many of the stories tonight. At an individual level, chronic stress about whether or not you can make your next month's rent payment worsens our heart and lung health. Being displaced from your home makes it harder to keep your job, for your children to succeed academically. Regionally, displacement leads to longer commute times that make our climate goals impossible. The bright future we want for Sacramento starts here, with making sure that no one's rent can double in the space of a month and that no good tenants are put out on the street. Rent control and just cause eviction protections can help stabilize our neighborhoods and protect our neighbors while we bring other housing solutions online. Protecting tenants must be part of a comprehensive strategy as we work to produce and preserve affordable housing options.
Ms. Beatty, your 2 minutes is complete. Will you make your final comment?
The Sacramento Housing Alliance supports rent stabilization and just cause eviction protections for Sacramentans, and we urge you to do so as well.
Thank you so much, Ms. Beatty. Thank you.
Speaker is Samantha Corbin, then Alexander Clark, then Juve Spooner.
Corbin, welcome.
Mr. Mayor, members, my name is Samantha Corbin. I'm a mother, a resident of Elmhurst, a partner in a firm representing nonprofits and cause-based issues in the state. I'm a co-founder of the Me Too movement in politics, now a national effort to end discrimination, harassment, and abuse. I urge you today to take action to ensure stable housing for the safety and security of our community. Housing's been an underlying stressor for me personally in the majority of the 16 years that I've lived in the Sacramento region. As a single mother, I have moved at least 7 times, frankly, I've lost count, in an effort to maintain stable housing for my daughter and myself between districts 1 and 6. I have worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs in those 16 years in order for my daughter and I to stay appropriately housed. I have put on a suit during the day to testify in front of the state legislature and have come home to eat canned beans and to water down the milk so that it lasts until my next paycheck while struggling to pay the rent. I am privileged to be an educated white woman with access to opportunity, a workforce ladder, and a supportive family, and yet still this has been my story. I am not unique. Many others do not have my privilege, and today I stand for them. The intersection of domestic violence, homelessness, and housing insecurity is undeniable. Lack of safe, affordable housing is a primary barrier that survivors of domestic violence face when they choose to leave an abusive partner. 90% of homeless women have experienced physical or sexual abuse. 63% have been victims of domestic violence. It is one of the leading causes of homelessness. For them and for anyone, but especially those facing abuse, discrimination, or oppression, housing is not an issue that can be postponed for resolution at a later date. The need is immediate, urgent, and cannot be ignored. Flint, Baltimore, Puerto Rico, we lack no recent examples of what happens when greed is left unchecked or when policymakers fail to take action to protect the interests, safety, and lives of constituents. We are in the middle of a where were you moment here in Sacramento. Decisions made today will shape the face of our community
Corbin,
and the
your 2
lives
minutes
of our residents
Make
for
your final
decades to
comment,
come,
please.
and we will remember where you were. Respectfully, we urge that you take immediate, urgent action to support non-rent stabilization and just cause eviction protections for
Ms. Corbin.
Sacramentans. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Alexander Clark, then Juve Spooner, then Craig Cook.
I'm gonna get this off my chest right now. I just wanna let y'all know how disappointed I am of all y'all as city council members. I just want y'all to really know that. It's not that I'm disappointed. I'm more like disgusted about a lot of you motherfuckers who sit on these stands.
Excuse me, the use of profanity is not allowed. You're
Okay,
disrupting
let me
the meeting.
let me
One
talk,
more
brother.
time, you're gonna be asked
okay,
to
let
leave.
me talk. Okay, I understand. Let me talk. Because I'm sick.
You're
Look,
warned.
okay,
One
let
more
me
time.
talk. I am sick and tired.
Mr. Clark,
Listen
you're
to
not-
me.
No, Mr. Clark, you're not going to yell and scream.
Listen to me.
I
It
need
doesn't
you to
matter.
leave the meeting.
Leave-
I
leave
need
the
you to
meeting for
leave
what?
the meeting,
I'm
Mr.
not cussing,
Clark.
am I? I'm not using profanity, am I?
You lower your voice, or else you're going to be asked to leave.
Let
Go
me
ahead.
tell you like this, sir. Mayor, I'm disappointed. I'm disgusted in you, sir.
Okay.
Because I've seen you at Starbucks, right? You remember that? When I was sitting there drinking my coffee and I was sitting there eating my cinnamon bun? You know what you told me? You remember that? Remember what you told me when I was sitting next to you? Oh, are you homeless? That's what you said, right? You said, what was I doing outside, 8 o'clock in the morning? Why can't I be a normal, regular person drinking my coffee? Why can't I be a normal, regular person eating my cinnamon bun just like normal, regular white people who walk in places with business suits and shit on all the time? They don't get questioned. But at the same time, it's like, you sat there and asked me, like, what does it take for me to sell out? Because everybody has a price. Everybody have a price. I'm gonna tell you one thing like this. You're not gonna sweep Stephon Clark getting murdered under the fucking rug. Because my thing is, Stephon life did not come with a price.
You're out. Mr. Clark, I'm asking that Mr. Clark be removed from the meeting. You're not going to cuss. You're not going to cuss. And you're not back. You're not allowed back in this chamber indefinitely. You have disrupted the meeting numerous times. You're out. See you later, Mr. Clark. Back to Minnesota. Go. 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 Too bad. This guy, no. You're out. Next. 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 Next.
Our next speaker is Juve Spooner, then Craig Cook, then David Johnston. Juve.
I got one question to ask you in particular. How's Ari and Jordana? Pretend there's a difference between three objects. 1, 2, and 3. Short and sweet, probably y'all will remember March 18th of this year, I lost my best friend, my brother, since 4th grade. Now just imagine the fact that someone that you're close to, that everyone's close to, passes away. Everyone, and I know few people up in here got kids because I looked you guys up. It's called research. Now just pretend something happened to someone you was close to, like your daughters. How would you feel if someone kills them? How would you feel if you got the call that you had to come back to bury your daughter, or bury Julie? Yeah, you don't like the sound of that either. So all I'm saying is, do the right thing. And for freaking Scott Jones, you're gonna lose to freaking fish. Believe that, like Roman Reigns would say. You guys need to get off your high horse, do what's right. Press charges against freaking Jared and against Terrence. Because as far as I'm concerned, as a fact, in a couple months, when I go to Elk Grove Police and I become a freaking Elk Grove Police Department, let me see Terrence and them when I have a badge, when I have the same thing as them. Let me tell you one thing. When I'm gonna take my oath, I'm gonna keep my oath because my word is like my life. I needed to live. And there's a saying, what goes around comes around. So either if I see them out in the streets with no belt and no badge, or you best believe they'll find out why I'm undefeated in case fighting one way or another, son.
My next speaker is Craig Cook, then David Johnston, then Crystal McCrae.
Hello, thank you very much for letting me speak today. My name's Craig Cook. I've been living here in Sacramento now for 15 years, within District 4 for the last 4 years. I recently had the privilege of working with a number of great people on the Housing for Sacramento campaign. I got to lead a team of people around every single one of your districts. We walked, we knocked, we were there. What we've seen from the city is an overwhelming yes support for rent control. There's nothing else about it. What we need to succeed as people, as families, as all the things that you worry about with your districts in number 2, with wanting to renovate it. With District 4, we see a lot of different problems. We've had a lot of construction going on. It's really not picking anything up. How about we reduce the rents? How about we bring it lower for everyone that works here, everyone that lives here, everyone that supports this city, everyone that builds this city? I'm tired of seeing my friends move away. I'm tired of seeing more and more people showing up on the streets. I'm tired of having to learn all the different names of all the people I have to interact with, mainly because they don't have homes. Tired of it. I want to see these people happy. I don't want to see them on the street. I don't want to see them moving away. I don't want to see all the things that have had to happen. My own problems here in Sacramento City is my rent is too high. I pay $1,000 a month. I make about minimum wage most of the time, most of the year. I live here for a reason. We all do. We all have families. We all don't want to go anywhere, and we all want to stay here. I've seen too many people go, and I'm just kind of waiting to see if I'm next. So, thank you very much. Rent control.
Thank you for
just
coming.
cost eviction. Please support. It is the moral thing to do. It is the right thing to do. It's the only thing that will keep us around.
Next speaker is David Johnson, then Crystal McCray, then Sheila Byers.
Excuse me. You are disrupting the meeting, and I'm going to ask you to leave.
I thought you said don't disrupt testimony.
I'm going to ask you to leave. You cannot shout out. I'm going to ask you to leave. You're out.
I was leaving already.
Good. See you.
McCray?
Mayor, Council, my name is Crystal McCray, and I am a resident of City Council District 7. And I am here to discuss the need for rent stabilization in our city. But I feel the need, after what I've just seen, to implore you to understand people are hurting because of everyday circumstances. A totalitarian meeting will not stop that.
Oh, please. Please.
I have a few questions that I would like to ask you, Mayor, City Council members, and you, Howard Chan, City Manager. Number one, rent control and just cause eviction protections keep tenants in their homes. As community leaders, is it one of your responsibilities to protect the most vulnerable among us? Excuse me, I'm a little upset. Most vulnerable among us. And yet you remain silent. Why? Rent control leaves tenants with more money to spend in the local economy. As community leaders and stewards of our city's budget, I know it is your responsibility to help local businesses thrive, but yet you remain silent. Rent control does not stop development of new housing. Cities with rent control are experiencing some of the highest per capita construction rates in the state. And still, you remain silent. Why? I urge any of you who have been blessed with empathy
Ms. McCray,
to
your
take
2
a
minutes
moment.
is complete. Will you make your final comment, please?
Yes, please take a moment and think about how your family would be affected if you had to constantly tell them, we have to move and uproot you. You cannot go to school with your friends next fall. And your child's response is, why, mommy or daddy?
Your 2 minutes is complete.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sheila Byers.
Please support rent.
My next speaker is Sheila Byers.
Ma'am,
then
your
Casey
time, ma'am, your
Jennings.
time is up. Your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McCray. Your time is complete.
It's 2 minutes. That's what we give everybody, and we ask you to respect it. Well, oh, no, I do want to hear you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Next speaker is
Yeah,
Sheila
no, thank
Byers,
you.
Casey Jennings, then Tammy Dramer. Ms. Byers?
Who is next?
Sheila Byers, Casey Jennings, then Tammy Dramer, Patricia Johnson. So is Casey? Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Sheila Byers, and I'm a proud SEIU Local 1000 member, and I live in City Council District 1, and I'm here to discuss with you the need for rent stabilization in our city. Can you explain to the community members in this chamber why many of you have been silent on this issue? Did you know higher rents are causing long commutes? Residents can no longer afford to live close to work because rentals are scarce and rents have skyrocketed. Of course you knew. Did you know rents are rising faster than any city in the nation? Of course you did. But knowing all of this, you still remain silent. Why? I was taught once one is called for public service, their first duty is to give rise to the voiceless among us. Yet, the member in this council may think they are on the right side of this righteous fight, but unfortunately, you're not. That's why we're urging you to use your voice as we ask you to please support rent stabilization and just cause eviction protections for Sacramentans. Thank you.
Here is Casey Jennett, then Tammy Dramer, then Patricia Johnson, and we have about 20 more speakers.
Almost there, huh? Greetings, Council, Mayor. I'll try and be quick, and I'll try not to cuss, because apparently when we start with the Pledge of Allegiance, we still outweigh the First Amendment with respectability politics, so I'll do my best to get through this. As a recent graduate of Sacramento State University, I want to tell you that with 2 of those bachelors in our household, between my wife and I, we still fear every year when our lease comes up. Recently, we renewed our lease, or last year, we renewed our lease, and then they shortly after put a rent increase on us. Now, sometime in the next month, I'm going to find out what my future is, but the market value of the place that we live is significantly higher, apparently, the market value. Even though the market value of our labor hasn't increased proportionally, the opportunities that we get haven't increased proportionally, and even the development that we talk about in some of these neighborhoods, even though you might have 1 new business owner or 2 new business owners, if they have partners or something, or investors, that's great, but at the end of the day, the employees aren't making enough to pay the rent. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. If it's the minimum wage, then it should be able to be a living wage. And if we can't do that, then it's imperative, because we have a moral obligation, that we support rent stabilization and just cause eviction protections for Sacramentans, because families are in crisis, and it's the right thing to do. I'd also like to thank you for your Republican leadership over the last 6 months, Mayor. Thank you.
Next speaker is Tammy Dramer, Patricia Johnson, then Mike Barnbaum. Thank you. Patricia Johnson. Is Patricia here? No, Patricia. Mike Barnbaum.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mike Barnbaum. Last night was a very productive Sacramento Regional Transit District Board meeting. Sarah, who just graduated from McGeorge School of Law, spoke very eloquently to the Regional Transit Board, and as the leader of SAC-TRU, of Measure U renewal. And frankly, the need for discussion around it as one of the topics to be public transit. As the leader of Ride Downtown 916, we talked after the meeting and both agree of the same thing. So we are joining forces to let you know we would like the city to have whatever discussion it is having through the Budget and Audit Committee right now, to have transit as a discussion as one of the many topics amongst the topics you talk about for Measure U renewal. As you know, regional transit only receives 1/6 of 1 cent when it comes to its dedicated Measure A allocation. That is perhaps one of the worst allocations in the state of California for a self-help county like Sacramento. So we think the allocation needs to be more, and perhaps Measure U, SB1, Measure A, any sources of funding should be part of the discussion of that. Plus, sidewalk construction for safe routes to work. One prime example is Florin Perkins Road from Folsom Boulevard to Belvedere needs a sidewalk, and Measure U, Measure A, what SB1 can be part of that discussion too.
Barnbaum, your 2 minutes is complete. Will you make your final comment?
Yes, so we want to thank the city clerks for discussing this with us before the meeting, and we know the schedule and hope to be back on or before the 31st of July about this. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Kathy Cresswell, then Edith Allen, then Jeffrey Tardigia. Kathy's passing. Edith Allen?
You are, sir?
David Johnson.
Are you on, did you submit a slip?
Yes, we passed him, so go ahead, David.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Johnson. I'm the president of the DLC 782 and proud to be a member of the SIU Local 1000, also prior military service. I want to say that as lifelong resident of Sacramento, my dad was in the Air Force, retired, and urged that the council to look at all the facts as it pertains to rent stabilization in our city. Let the silent voices in the chamber and come forward to the support working families in our cities as they'll look forward for the rent that is affordable. We strongly urge that you all support the rent and stabilization and just the conservation and protection for the Sacramento or the community. I'm a homeowner as well, so when I retire, I want to rent the house. If it's going to be too high, I'd like to help the people who rent my house and with those solar panels on the roof. Thank you.
Thank you for testifying.
Okay.
My next speaker is Edith Allen, and then following Miss Allen is Jeffrey Tardigia.
Ms. Allen, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Edith Allen. I'm a veteran of the United States Air Force, Captain Allen, and I'm a 40% service-connected disabled veteran. I am here about the rent stabilization. At my complex where I live, some 500 apartments, the rents are going up upwards of $200, in some cases $275, $300. You're talking people over 50 in general. At the end of this month, I'll be 65 years old. This is not a time in my life that I want to be scrambling for housing the way I did when I was in college. You can't just call up your friends and say, hey, let's go get a U-Haul, help me move. Of course, the grandkids and our great-grandkids can do that, but we just don't have it that right. An effective eviction is when the rent is raised to an intolerable level and an unpayable level. There are three types of people who need housing assistance: senior citizens, and there are affordable senior housing complexes. There are developers who will build these. These facilities and these complexes are full to the rafters, and they are thriving. They're profitable, and they're well-maintained. There aren't enough of them. I have called, because I'm effectively evicted by this rent increase, I have called every place and checked on every place in this region, 1,000-person waiting list. Each and every one has a 1,000-person waiting list. 40 people have moved out of my apartment complex in the last month. I'm blindsided because I wasn't told that these rent increases were happening. Fortunately, I found out, stuck in a one-year contract. I have to wait that fine window. Give notice August 1st, move out September 1st. This is not acceptable. I didn't fight to keep you all from being nuked until you glowed so that I could come back and have my country turn into something like this. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Mr. Tardigia, then T. Whitney, then Joshua Jenkins.
Mayor, Jay, Rick, Eric, this last week I was in support of AB 2340. That was just cause. It was gutted in the state. So all it is back to holidays and the weekend. My building, 6 months ago, there was absolutely full. Now they raised June 1st, rent $50. There's 5 empty, and now with 3 times or 2 times the rent and 5-year evictions, can't find people that are senior citizens that have good credit and can find and move into these locations downtown because they are on SSI. That means you no longer can meet the 2.5. But anyway, unintentional consequences. Ray has left Sacramento Steps Forward. You have a new interim production for Homeless tomorrow. I will be at Sacramento Steps Forward to see what this new individual, whether we're stepping forward or we're stepping back in the homeless campaign. But the reason I mention you people is because right now I would like to request that I meet with Howard Chang to find out why in the world you guys have not corrected at these city parking structures, the maps on there. You still say that there is a bus depot on L and 17th. The new maps you put up have the wrong thing for 5th Street at J and 5th. It should be J and 4th where you're planning a boutique in. But my time is up, so I won't ask about L Street getting the buses back on there, because you see what this weekend created a whole bad situation.
Thank you,
And there's
Mr.
a number of
Carnegie.
others. Thank you. Bye.
Speaker is T. Whitney, then Joshua Jenkins, then Trina Allen.
You know, sometimes I come in here with comments prepared and they totally go out the window as soon as I see the interaction of our elected officials and our manager with the public. Pain looks a certain way. When people die in police custody and they're not able to receive answers or justice, or they're not able to even get their most basic inquiries answered about their loved ones, that's pain, that's anguish, that's anger. There's not one person that's sitting up there that would not feel that way if it was your child. Maybe you have some moral superiority that somehow allows you to keep your anger in check better than other people, but I've seen families come in here, like Dejan's family and Joseph's family, and tonight, Brandon's family, and address this council with all kinds of politeness, keeping in check their decorum, like all your rules that you want. And the thing is that where's the justice? Dejan's killers got medals pinned to their chests. You're asking the public to give you something that you're not giving them back, that your public servants are not giving them back. The city manager, the police chief, together you have the power to fire officers that abuse the public, that harm the public, much less kill the public. And we all know who they're killing. They're disproportionately killing black men in our community. And people are going to continue showing up. We're going to continue showing up, and we're going to continue demanding justice. Because Dr. Cornel West, he challenges us to remember, to never forget that love is what justice looks like in public. And I may have just got that backwards, and I'm sorry. I'm really trying to keep myself in check.
Will you make your final comment?
But I'll tell you, if I ended up dead, my dad wouldn't keep himself in check when talking to you. And you'd listen to him, but you don't listen to people that show up here that have melanin. You don't listen to black and brown people the way that you're listening to me.
Complete.
Yeah, but you haven't cut my mic off yet.
Joshua Jenkins, then Trina Allen.
City Council, my name is Joshua Jenkins, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Lowell Penguin Incorporated. I'm also an American veteran, served 10 years and 3 tours. I come today requesting relief in the form of statutory equity already provided by the laws of the state of California for veterans of military service. Specifically, my organization is pleading for that equity relief to be provided to all veteran-owned entities, regardless of business structure. This is already afforded by the California Business and Professions Code, Section 16102, though the city has denied this in the cannabis space and has continued to do so since January. This section allows for veteran-owned businesses to start up a business and to not have to pay the taxes and fees typically associated with the startup of that business. We have brought this to the attention of both the Office of Cannabis Policy and Enforcement along with the Law and Legislation Subcommittee, which has only allowed the allowance for sole proprietors to enjoy this treatment as it applies to the cannabis industry. This extra limitation opposed by this city, failing to comply with state law or realistically understand the dynamics of the cannabis space, has a discriminatory effect against American veterans who are a protected class. Affording the true equity as already in place since 1901 is how we can and should move forward. Understanding that Section 16102 has no limitation on entity type or any mandate that the protected class be over 51% to be enjoined by the first, would be the first step. Then applying the economic empowerment to our nation's heroes so that jobs can be created in your community. Heroes that have defended your right to sit here today. Heroes that have defended all of our rights to sit here today. And finally, fully including all dishonorably discharged veterans in the full fee waiver in conjunction with the cannabis industry's core program. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Trina Allen, then Isaac Gonzalez, then Ivan Caballero.
Rent control, just cause eviction, a triage center in each district. You call yourself progressive. You march with us. Your rhetoric is of compassion and the desire to do right, to be right. But when it matters most, when literal lives are up for debate, you evade the actions that would turn your rhetoric to truth. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Every era's rulers have constraints that tie their hands from preventing injustice, that strip them from the ethics they promise to uphold, but they make no mistake. In every case, their collusion with oppression has always been personally profitable to them and informed their decision to cower. No one thinks that any of you individually can reform or redeem your police. We are abolitionists for a reason. But you can stand up. You can speak out. You can use your platform and name that what is plain before you. And you can condemn the anti-black terror that patrols your communities of color. Stephon Clark should be still alive. He was in his own backyard without a weapon. Dejan Flano should still be alive. He would have been if your officers hadn't illegally detained and terrorized him. Joseph Mann should still be alive. He would have been if your officers hadn't charged him in cold blood. You saw the video. You know police terror is unconscionable, so say it. Start speaking truth to your people because we are tired of speaking truth to power when what so often flows from your lips are greed-fueled platitudes. Brandon Smith died in Sacramento police custody last week. He was 30 years old and in good health. I will not speculate as to what happened, but the response from your department would be shocking if we hadn't already seen it time and again. Instead of providing answers, an explanation, a narrative of what happened to their child, your detectives grilled his mother for information on Brandon. A man died while being transported from one place to another within this city, and they demand answers from a grieving mother? Freddie Gray died under these same circumstances. I hope upon hope for Brandon, his family, his children, that he didn't suffer the same violence and cruelty that Mr. Gray did, but your track record certainly doesn't look good. These deaths don't happen in privileged white community members. They wouldn't allow it, and more importantly, you wouldn't allow it, because those with white wealth fund your projects and fuel your ambitions. And right now, instead of being moved by outrage for these men and their loved ones to dramatically shift the way we are policed in Sacramento,
thank you, Ms. Allen.
Ms. Allen, your 2 minutes are up, please. Come on.
My next speaker is Isaac Gonzalez, then Ivan Caballero, then Brenda Anderson. Isaac Gonzalez, and thank you, Ivan Caballero, and we have 10 more speakers. Ivan, then Brenda Anderson, then Rashid Sadiq.
Hi. Hi, my name is Ivan Caballero. I have lived in Sacramento nearly all my life. I grew up here and I went to school here. Sacramento is my home. I'm 19 years old now, and my parents have been pressuring me to move out. I've been looking for an apartment to rent, but it's incredibly hard to find anything affordable. When you respond to a housing ad, you almost never get a reply. And when you do, it's usually sorry, it was just rented. Apartments for my rent in my neighborhood of Meadowview begin at $832 a month. They want you to earn 3 times the rent a month to be qualified. I would have to work 56 hours a week to earn enough to qualify to rent an apartment in my own neighborhood. I want to go to college. I want to one day buy a home. I want Sacramento to be my home, and I want Sacramento to be a part of my future. But with the cost of housing in our city right now, I don't know if Sacramento is even going to be a part of my future. I know that the cost of housing is going up everywhere, and I don't pretend to have the answers, but I hope that you can do something, because if you don't, it's just going to get worse, and the next generation and the next after that are going to have to deal with even worse problems than I am dealing with today. Please act now. Don't wait any longer. Don't let your citizens slip through the cracks. Invest in us so we can invest in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Brenda Anderson, then Rashid Sadiq, then David Andre.
Brenda Anderson?
Hello, my name is Brenda Anderson.
Ms. Anderson.
I am a private citizen advocate. I came here to say one thing, but what I've heard has kind of thrown a wrench into what I was going to say, and I respectfully ask permission to deviate a little bit.
Of course, it's public comment on items not on the agenda. You can talk about whatever you'd like. Thank you.
First and foremost, let us understand that low income does not mean lower our standards, for sure. Second of all, I believe that we have an elected official who is building a physical wall because he believes someone on the other side doesn't have the same merit as the one on the other side. I don't want you as individuals of who you are and what you do and what you're here for to build a wall in your mind and heart, believing that someone who has a lesser is not a merit and cannot cross over into the other side. I need to know that what I've sat and listened and heard today is going to be rectified, is going to be addressed, is heard, is concerned, and that we are all lives matter. Your lives matter, everybody that breathes lives matter. And so it's important that we understand each other, walk in each other's shoes, not judge each other, and believe that we can help each other. So that's not what I planned on saying, but that's what came out. Thank you very much.
I'm glad you did, from the heart. And you're right.
Ms. Anderson, our next speaker is Rashid Sadiq, then David Andre, then Erica Stefan. Is Rashid here? He's not here. David Andre. Following Mr. Andre is Erica Stefan, and then John Holden.
Good evening, City Council. We're still having the problems. We got people dying in police custody. We got homeless people that are getting their survival gear taken. We hear a lot of platitudes every week from your noble offices on what's being done, but on the street, it's still very, very cold, very terroristic. There's still water fountains shut off. Right now, it appears that you're still selling our water to Nestle Corporation, while people, poor people on the streets of Sacramento, are denied even drinking water. I think the city could make a big step forward if they would hit up Nestle, who are selling the water really cheap too, to start donating some water that would be distributed at key places around the city for some of the newly homeless people. And by newly homeless, I mean people that were just living in apartments. The other day I was given a phone number of a lady. She has 5 kids and she's trying to survive in a car in South Sacramento. She did not know where to get water. She has no idea. She lived in an apartment for years and now she's on the streets. More than likely, you guys will impound her car. More than likely, CPS will come and take her children. Another family destroyed in the name of gentrification. Please rectify that. Let's have rent control and just eviction housing before more of our citizens end up on the streets with me. Thank you.
Yeah. Erica Stefan, then John Holden, then Teresa Rivera.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm here to speak on rent control, but I also feel moved to say that it's disappointing to see young people who are speaking out of pain and anguish be so chastised for a cuss word that might slip out when they're really just speaking from their heart, and I'm disappointed to see that. With rent control, I'm part of the problem in that we moved here from Oakland 3 years ago when we were illegally evicted from an apartment that was rent controlled but was being flipped by a speculator and did not have legal protections in place for tenants who were facing these illegal issues. And therefore, that's something that also needs to be part of rent control and stabilization is someplace to turn. We move here, we have this sword of Damocles hanging over our heads. We've been here for 3 years. We had to find new jobs. We had all of our savings that we were saving for our own home vaporized because we had to suddenly move to a new city. It was here or LA. I'll tell you that LA nearly won because they do have rent control. We're very, nervous. Are we going to go now to Fresno and another 3 years to Stockton? And where will this stop? If there is no rent control, then there's no stable community. And there's no chance for people to put down roots. The market is not kind to building stable human lives. So I would just ask that you think of the people who are constantly on the move and constantly being kicked out and wondering when the hammer is going to fall, and support rent control and rent stabilization. Thank you.
Next speaker is John Holden, then Teresa Riviera, then Kim Brandon.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, Mr. Warren. I want to speak briefly about Evergreen from the regional transit meeting last night. We got a clear as mud on whether it's proceeding or it's dead. We just really want to know that where the city stands and where the board stands. I have a petition from all of the business owners. My family happens to own the property across the street from it, and Harley Davidson and Colancini, and for over 40 years. And if we don't get clarification on this, we will be prepared for litigation if necessary. It needs to be public housing. According to the regional transit plan, that was the plan. Now, the other aspect I want to talk tonight is about eminent domain. Some friends of mine, the Ginsbergs, you happen to know them, and they were friends with the Friedmans. They owned Ace Loan Company on J Street. They were Holocaust survivors. That property was taken by eminent domain by the city when the mayor, Joe Cerna, was in office for the use of the parking garage for the Sheraton. Now, Joe Cerna said, and I quote, that the parking garage for the Sheraton was paramount to the success of the community center. I can tell you today the Sheraton barely treads water. But we allow 2 blocks of blight on J Street, owned by Mr. John Saka, who lives in Los Angeles in a big home. He's holding out for a skyscraper that they're not going to build. Now, I know you're not going to build a homeless facility there, Mr. Mayor, but any type of urban development housing for Sacramento, it's the only blight on the main street. How do you expect to draw big money and big corporations to Sacramento when you have 2 blocks of it's a public safety hazard, and you can see down into the lower levels of the guts of J Street? How is this being allowed that he is able to hold out on that property instead of building homes, which all the city needs?
We're working on it.
I would sure appreciate that, and so would the citizens of Sacramento. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have 4 more speakers. The next is Teresa Riviera, then Kim Brandon, then Bridget Duffy. Teresa? Okay, Kim Brandon.
Hi. What I wanted to say, I was going to talk about something and I wanted to read a scripture, but I am a Christian and I believe in God. I moved 2013, they gave me an apartment over at Mercy Housing. In 2014, they had a flood. And I was at church that day praising God. And they called me and left a message, said, don't come home. Your apartment is unlivable. So I said, okay. So I'm called and I said, she said, don't come home because it's flooded. I said, well, you got to give me a place to live. Well, don't you got friends? I said, well, can't you give me a place to live, at least maybe a hotel room for tonight? So they did. But the next day, they treated me so bad, they didn't pay for the next day. And they said that my apartment was not affected by the flood. Never mind, they got a sign on the door that's saying it's unlivable. Never mind that they done throwed all my furniture around in the house. So eventually, you know, they tore the walls out and all kind of things. It looked like it was a war zone up in there. But they put me in 7-Eleven. They let me stay there, I think, 2 days and threw me back into my apartment, which I couldn't breathe. It was just dirty. They really treated me bad. So I've been there now, but anyway, some repercussion behind this thing. Right now, they putting fly spray in my place. They've been doing this right now since 2015. I'm living a homeless life even though I have an apartment. I have been living a homeless life. My lung has been affected by this. I have pretty good health so far, you know, but everything is bad. I can't stay in my apartment too long because it's about to kill me. They were spraying fly spray, insect spray into the place.
Ms. Brandon, your 2 minutes is complete. Will you make your final comment?
Is there anybody I want to ask you, is there anybody that we can have help you tonight to talk about your
I
specific
need to talk to somebody because I'm close to
why
death.
don't we'll ask the city managers, if you just step to the
nobody's
side
listening.
just for a minute, we will ask somebody from the city staff to hear in detail and then see if we can check into it and see if we can help you. We're always willing to try.
Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, thank you. Okay.
Our next speaker is Bridget Duffy, and then our final speaker is Lambert Davis.
Hello, Bridget.
Excuse me 1 second, ma'am. Mr. Conlon back there will talk to you right there, Assistant City Manager. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay.
That's okay. Welcome.
My name is Bridget Duffy. I am the State Assembly pick for the Green Party in District 22. The elections were extremely, obviously, not a representation of the will of the people. What we heard tonight, however, was a very good representation of the will of the people. 47 speakers. That's a filibuster. And you know what? There could be 100 speakers. We could get 500 speakers. That's a filibuster. The people are speaking their will. According to the Declaration of Independence, the will of the people is sovereign in the United States of America. You were formed as a government in order to provide for the health and safety of the citizens of this country. That's your job. You are given these jobs which afford you a very secure, happy lifestyle. You have mortgages. You don't have landlords. You don't have unexpected medical bills. You're covered. A lot of people in California are not covered. No insurance. The police brutality issue is an easy fix. Police who cause death or injury to citizens should be fired, period. Why can't you do that? You're the government. You are in charge of the police. When somebody is killed, that officer should be fired. And as far as the rents, this is grotesque that you are causing by your inaction, which is simple. An emergency moratorium on rent increases. Immediate emergency moratorium on rent increases, and it will fall eviction. And I just want to tell everybody, don't pay the rent increase.
Thank you, Ms. Duffy. Our next speaker is Lambert Davis.
Ms. Duffy, your 2 minutes are up. Thank you so much. We heard you, Ms. Duffy.
We're showing up at your houses.
Okay, Ms. Duffy. Okay, Ms. Duffy. Next. Duffy, you are disrupting the meeting. You do this again, I'm going to ask you to leave, and you're not going to come back again.
I don't think you can.
Our final speaker is Lambert Davis.
I've never used this, so I don't.
Spencer, you just put it down, face up, the other way. It depends, there you go.
There you go. Flip it around.
Is it the note or the article that you?
Oh, there it is.
There you go. Okay.
Okay, I really do want to get everybody's attention up there because that's a very tragic thing to people. And I was subjected to that because I have my own business. It's a cheesecake business. It's federally certified. And I'm really talking to the mayor and the city manager. Everybody else knows about us. I want you to really listen to this. Not only were we subjected to this as a company and also a student, a private citizen, we decided, okay, we'll leave that bank and move forward. So we heard about, it was a guy named John Silva. I'm gonna keep bringing this guy's name up. He was a great guy. And him and I were working on trying to reach out to the city council and the mayor. And he had told me about several grant programs. And so after he died, I started reaching out to the mayor's office and different organizations in this council, and I was treated very hostile, very hostile. I have documentation of that. I even received a very hostile letter from the chief of staff of the mayor, and I still have that letter. And I think it demands that I should be able to meet with you. The Mayor's Office of Innovation Entrepreneur, which is called MOFI, it has no blacks on that particular committee. It has Hispanics, it has Asians, it has every race, Indian too, but it doesn't have black. And I submitted for the Rails program, and they denied me without even having me meet with them. So I'm asking the mayor, as a person who's been in this town since 1946, my family, I'd like to give you one of my cards because I've met with everybody on your
Final
staff.
comment, Mr. Davis.
No progress. And I'm just wondering if I can meet with you because I got all the way to the chief of staff.
We can try, Mr. Davis. We can try. I can't guarantee, but we'll try to help solve your problem, okay? And
Yeah.
by the way, the city's director of innovation, who runs that movie office, is an African-American, just to set the record straight.
Yeah, but the people that evaluated it
Davis,
are
your
not.
time is
Thank you,
complete.
Mr. Davis, thank
Oh,
you.
will you accept my card? Because everybody.
Yes, I'll take your card, give it to the clerk, and I'm happy to take your card, sir.
That could be a liability.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no more speakers for matters not on the agenda.
Okay. I would like to just make a comment to some of the folks who've come here tonight on both the rent issue, but also on some of the hurt that was expressed. Ms. Anderson, I believe, and others who speak so eloquently about pain. My colleagues and I are not only willing, we know it is our responsibility to bear a lot of the pain in the community, and we do. We sit week after week, and I don't say this grudgingly in any way. This is part of our job, to listen to people. And I know I sit here, as do my colleagues, and I take it in. But there is a difference in a public setting between people expressing their anguish and their anger, which they have every right to do, and people who come up here, and by the way, it's not the first time with some of the folks who come on up and cuss and use vulgarity and threaten us. The gentleman that I kicked out, the first one, stood in the back of the chamber several weeks ago pointing a pretend gun at us. Okay, so I just people want to come here angry, we will bear that. If people want to come in here and be disrespectful and disrupt the public decorum, which, by the way, that kind of behavior discourages other people from coming to testify, then I'm going to continue to ask people to leave. And I'm sorry if that seems disrespectful. It is not intended to be, and I don't believe that it is, because I respect you, and I respect everybody who comes here to have their voices heard in an angry way, but in a civil way. And that's all we ask. On the rent issue, I want to tell you how much I appreciate all the advocates who have come here this evening. I want to assure you that my colleagues and I've been in the middle of it, it's been sort of reported in the press, are trying to find the middle ground between absolutely protecting lower income, middle income, people with disabilities, tenants, from unreasonable rent increases. We're trying to balance that with not doing anything that would impede the incentives for new construction. And yes, we are working on an ordinance, as has been described, with representatives of the housing advocacy community, very able people, by the way, who are representing your interests vociferously at the negotiating table. So we are working, and we're going to work as a community and as a council, and we're going to try to see if we can find a solution, yes, to protect people, because they deserve our protection. At the same time, we want to continue to build affordable housing, and that's the balance that we seek. And I welcome you to continue coming to the council chambers and continue to organize, and we'll continue to try to work together, okay? Thank you very much. Let's move on to the next item on the agenda. Councilmember Jennings? Okay. Let's move to the small item of the annual city budget.
Before we get to that, Mr. Mayor, I have a request on this rent control issue.
Yes, sir.
I don't know nearly enough about it. I've been reading competing studies from UC Berkeley as well as from Stanford on either side of that issue. I would like to get much more educated on it, and I'd like the council as a whole to be educated on it with professional opinions on the pros and cons, and as well as taking a look at any ordinance that we might develop. So I guess I'm requesting some kind of workshop where we could get professional, unbiased information on this issue, because obviously it's emotional to a lot of people.
I appreciate it. I think that's a great idea. And I know there's been lots of talk, and I even just mentioned an ordinance, but I want to assure members of the council and members of the public, I'm not in a rush to introduce anything. I've been doing my job, which I was elected to do, which is to have a lot of discussions with a lot of stakeholders. I am limited by the Brown Act in terms of having direct conversations with everybody. But I guarantee you, because it's the only way I know, that however and whenever we do this, it will be transparent, it will not be jammed, there will be an open process, and there will be ability for everybody to participate. I think your idea of an informational workshop to just sort of get grounded in the subject matter on what other cities do and what pros and cons are is a good idea. Let's think about that. Okay. Madam City Attorney?
I was just about to recommend that we stop the discussion and bring it back for an agendized item. But
you know, great minds think alike, because I was going right there as well. Okay, let's get to the city budget. What? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Dawn Holm, the Interim Director of Finance. This evening, we are here to discuss the fiscal year 2018-19 budget and the changes recommended to the proposed budget that we delivered to you on April 23rd. At the end of this presentation, I will be asking that the council make a recommendation to approve the budget. Over the past month, we presented to the City Council an overview of the budget, discussed the budgets for the operating departments and capital budget, as well as some changes needed to correct the proposed budget. This evening, I'd like to cover a few items that we have touched on but weren't in the prior budget reports. Based on council discussion, we are recommending the addition of staffing and equipment for Medic 4, which has been operating on overtime. This includes the addition of 6 firefighter paramedics, equipment, and an ambulance. The cost will be fully offset with an increase in revenues. The department revenue budget's been increased to cover the increased costs associated with Medic 4, and at mid-year, we will provide an analysis of the ALS program and an update on program revenues. We were also asked to look at staffing for the Office of Homeless Services. In late December, employees in 2 zoo attendant positions left city service, and those positions are currently vacant. Based on the city's agreement with the zoo, when positions are vacated, the positions and the funding are transferred back to the general fund. With the redirection of funding from these vacancies and increased reimbursements from the Whole Person Care Grant, We're recommending the addition of 2 positions to support the Office of Homeless Services at no increase to the general fund. In an effort to provide increased transparency on the city's efforts towards homeless services and gang prevention and intervention, we are proposing a structural reorganization of the city manager's office through the creation of 2 separate divisions. Additionally, with our continuing efforts on cannabis enforcement, there's a need for clarification on the use of revenues and resources to provide adequate enforcement. The proposed resolution included in the staff report has language on how and what business operations tax, business operating permit, and cannabis fines and penalties are to be used for. On May 22nd, the City Council approved additional programs for the Meadowview community. These programs, which will be provided this summer, were fully offset with a transfer from existing project resources. This action will bring expanded hours in programming, including a youth job and resource fair to the Pinnell Community Center and Meadowview Pool. Expanded hours, programming, and summer lunches to the Martin Luther King Jr. and Valley High North Laguna libraries. A summer night lights program in the Meadowview community. Resources for community engagement and mental health services. We've revised the 5-year forecast to reflect all of the changes discussed. This forecast represents general fund revenues less expenditures by fiscal year, absent the use of one-time resources. As reflected in the forecast, despite significant revenue growth, our expenditures are expected to exceed revenues in fiscal year 20 and for the term of the forecast. Finally, as we have discussed previously, Measure U is set to expire in March of 2019. As a reminder, this forecast includes the same information as the prior slide, but has been expanded to include the use of the pension liability commitment established in fiscal year 18 and added to in this budget to help offset rising PERS costs. The transfer of $2.5 million to the city's economic uncertainty reserve to maintain a 10% general fund reserve over the term of the forecast, and the potential loss of Measure U revenues. The general fund and all other funds are balanced for fiscal year 2018-19. As we learn more about the future of Measure U and the overall economy, we will return to the council for further discussion on the projected deficits identified in this forecast. I would again like to thank the council, city manager, budget staff, and all department staff that have helped in the development of this budget. With that, I'm available to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Holman. Thank you to your staff and your team for bringing this forward to us. We have 2 members of the public signed up to speak, so if it's okay with my colleagues, I think we'll hear from them first. You guys okay with that? Yes? Yes? Okay, great. Thank you. So our 2 speakers are Ben Avey, and then both Nathan Olsu and Bill Naughton. Or Nathan Olsch. Either one. Yeah.
Very good. Madam Presiding Officer, council members, Ben Avey with Sacramento steps forward. I just wanted to quickly come and thank you for your continued commitment to ending homelessness in Sacramento. We know as well as anybody that it is a long-term effort that takes year-over-year commitment, and we are proud to see that the city of Sacramento maintains that commitment, and this year you are continuing to innovate and continuing to build out your Office of Homeless Services, and we appreciate that, and we look forward to partnering with you in the future as your efforts continue to mature and we can figure out how they best work with the continuum of care and other initiatives within the County of Sacramento. So putting on another hat, I'm actually also here as the president of Friends of Camp Sacramento, a nonprofit organization that supports the City of Sacramento's family camp in the Sierra Nevadas. Friends of Camp Sacramento raises money to improve the experience of camping for all families. We pay for camperships for families who can't afford to go to camp. We buy equipment, arts and crafts supplies, build playgrounds, really try to improve the camp. But the camp is nearly 100 years old, and there are issues within the infrastructure that we can't fix. And thankfully, the city is coming through this year to invest quite a bit of money in the infrastructure of Camp Sacramento. And we and all of the families who go to Camp Sacramento are eternally grateful for that, because without the city's investment, we would never be able to keep the camp to the standard that it is now. So I would just like to thank you for that, and please invite all of you up to camp. Mini Week 1 starts next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your partnership and your leadership. Appreciate you. Nathan.
Good evening. I'm Nathan Olsch. I'm the Executive Director of the Franklin Boulevard Business Association. With me, I have Bill Knowlton from Mac Road Partnership. All of our colleagues left us hanging, but it's all good. I wanted to address a specific concern that we had with illegal dumping in our districts. We have youth, we have customers that come through our districts, and I know there's some budget concerns or questions regarding the franchise fees coming from SWA. We just want to commend Eric, Councilman Guerra, for his efforts of trying to redefine where those funds are coming and going. So I would like to say, safety is a big concern for us in our district, in our neighborhoods and our customers. So we do support Councilmember Guerra's proposal that's been mentioned at another committee meeting to increase funding for illegal dumping and operations by ensuring that 100% of the funds coming from SWA franchise fees from haulers are spent on illegal dumping operations and that existing funding is not suspended. That said,
I think you said it well.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you both very much. Thanks for your partnership and leadership, and I know the mayor stepped out, but he is committed to addressing the concern. Councilmember Guerra's done a really great job of championing it. One way at going after that issue. Councilmember Warren and Chenier have also addressed this issue in the past, and I know we're all committed to dealing with illegal dumping moving forward in as many ways as we can find resources. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ditto. Thank you. Thank you, Angelique. Okay. I'm sorry. I did have to step out for just a moment.
I don't. I have no more speakers from public comment.
Okay, so now we'll hear from the members. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Chenier, thanks.
Thank you. I'm going to be brief on this because we have spent a lot of time on this budget. I think, Don, you guys both and your staffs have done a great job. We've gone through this multiple times at our Budget and Audit Committee and then at Council as well. I'm just going to ask you to put the overall slide up that shows where we are this year and in the following years. Thanks. Nope, there. So I think we need to look at this for a while and need to look really hard at these numbers. We're in much better shape than we've been in a lot of years past. And Councilmember Ashby and myself, and she's talked about this quite a bit, have been through the years of cutting. And, I just want to be very thankful that we're still not in that mode, but that over the years, particularly with respect to Measure U, we've been able to build back our fire department, we've been able to build back our police department, we've been able to build back a lot of our parks folks as well. Not nearly to the levels that we were in 2007, but starting to approach that. We need to continue to really watch where we are. We have a proposal that we started discussing this afternoon in our Budget and Audit Committee to extend Measure U and enhance it. But at this point, I think what we've put together is a relatively conservative budget that gets us through this year, starts to prepare us for next year of where we are, which will take a lot of work. We still have some contracts open that we need to negotiate. But I know that we would all love additional items for our districts or for the city. I'm no different than that. But unfortunately, that will just make the situation worse next year. So what I'm going to do, besides saying thank you to our budget folks, is move this item as put forward. I don't know if I have to close the public hearing on this. I'm going to open and close the public hearing and actually move the item.
Second. Moved and seconded. Thank you very much. Councilmember Carr.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As earlier, we approved the North Sac Economic Development Initiative, and each of our districts is really different, and they need different things. And I'm happy to support the initiative in District 2, and I am thankful that the council members are supporting the initiative this summer for our kids in Meadowview. District 8 is a little younger than the rest of the city districts. It's a little poorer than most of the districts. And it's imperative that we give our children something to do this summer. The budget request will allow us to expand our library hours. It will allow us to keep the swimming pool open. It will allow us to have extra summer night lights at the Pinnell Center. And I'm also thankful for those council members who were able to join us in our library swimming pool reading program. Read 5 books this summer. You get a pass to any city pool, and for yourself as well as for a parent. And we're hoping that that will increase not only the number of books read, but the number of kids who are participating in our pools this summer. So I want to say thank you to the council members who can vote to support it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilman Carr. Councilman Guerra.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to first thank all our staff for the work on this budget, and specifically, every department has a piece in every one of our districts, and I know we push a lot on a lot of different issues, whether it's parks or law enforcement, or even our fire department responding to a lot of these issues, and even most recently our cannabis area. I am glad to see that in this budget we are moving forward and solidifying the funding for enforcement, not only on the residential issues, but also in the commercial corridors. We've had concerns both in the industrial and commercial about impacts of illegal operations next to current businesses, along with neighbors responding to that issue. I also want to, thank the Parks Department for looking at how do we equitably balance Measure U dollars and making sure that we're using them appropriately. Some of our bathrooms have been there since the 50s without any major upgrades, and they definitely show it. And I'm glad to see that we're making some improvements on those park facilities. Although in this last few months, one of the things that has come to light for me that I've found very troubling has been the issue of how we are managing our solid waste dollars and the monies we receive from the franchise fees that we collect at the Solid Waste Authority and then transfer to the city. And I think you hear the frustration here. And there were many people who left from the enduring public comment and helped us, I guess, maybe have a shorter night tonight. But the concerns that I've heard are very clear. We have a problem in our city. There was a study that we saw about the county, and it showed that it's our city that has the largest problem with illegal dumping. And it's no surprise that we've seen it in some of the areas in District 6, 2, 8, and the 5 in the area where we share along Stockton Boulevard. It's very clear. And this is one of those issues that doesn't get a lot of attention. But the fact of the matter is, it's a quality of life issue that I just can't glare over and say, this is a fine and dandy budget. It doesn't get everything what we want. But we have a serious issue here. And I do want to thank our Finance Department and our Solid Waste Authority folks for taking the time to go pour through this budget. But I want to make a point here that over the last 5 years, at least that I could look at, or even down to 2012 when we've increased the franchise fees, our solid waste department has only received $400,000 consistently to manage that issue. Yet we've increased and we've seen this revenue come in here. And so, Mr. City Manager, I don't want to pry open the budget and redraw it and try to draft it here tonight. But one thing that's come very clear is that we need to be able to respond to this issue better. And I want to hear that there are some clear assurances that we're going to sit down with not only the neighbors, but the folks in our districts to figure out how do we accurately and wisely tackle this issue of illegal dumping. It's not, a lot of us fight about for our youth, for public safety, but this is one of those quality of life issues that is crippling a lot of neighborhoods and many in low income and diverse neighborhood communities. And so I want to hear, Mr. City Manager, we've talked about this, and I want to, before I feel comfortable supporting a budget that I think, it doesn't have everybody's solutions in there, I want to hear what we can do about this.
Absolutely. Yeah. So per our discussion earlier today, you have my commitment that just after the council recess that we will convene a group that includes your office and many of the stakeholders you mentioned to look at how we can tackle these issues very strategically with the limited resources that we have. And at that time, we can determine what the next best steps are and bring it back to this council and have an open discussion about it. So you have my commitment on that.
Well, thank you, and I do want to make sure that we move that forward. Again, I felt reluctant to support this budget until we, were able to have that conversation today, because it's just it's been not fair for our own city employees who have been doing a tremendous job with the limited resources. But clearly, we've been receiving revenues well on top of what we need to accomplish the job, and it's only fair for those who are paying the fees that we use it for the intended purpose. Well, thank you, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Councilmember Guerra. Councilmember Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to start by also congratulating my colleagues as well as Councilman Carr for the extra work that he's put in the budget to get funds in the budget for youth in District 8, particularly during these summer months. We know that activity, sometimes the wrong types of activity, heat up in the summer. So along with the things we're doing that Councilman Jennings has led, along gang prevention stuff, the added summer night light programs, the swimming pool, the read 5 books, get 2 passes, one for the youth and one for the parents, I think is an excellent way to use our city pools throughout the city, and I hope that encourages reading. I also want to suggest that, and I'm glad to hear Councilman Guerra speak about the solid waste issue that we're having in terms of where we have illegal dumping and we have franchise fees, but it appears that maybe not all the franchise fees are being used in a way that can help combat the illegal dumping problem. And I think it's no secret that District 2 typically leads in terms of having that as a constant issue. And, it would be my hope that all of us as council people and the mayor we would recognize where some of the big city issues, irrespective of districts, and start putting an end to those things that negatively impact our city and our budget. And then we focus the issues in other priority areas. And so I don't believe we would be doing the right thing if we look to each district to always have some form of equitable split in terms of revenue. I think we have to assess problems and we have to fix problems. I would be very happy to not have any revenue come to my district if we didn't have the problems. I would also be very happy to support other districts in solving problems in their district. And so I think we have some major opportunity. Mayor gave a big speech last week about Measure U and what we're trying to do there. We're going to hopefully, that will take hold and we'll have some opportunity there. I think that if we have not addressed the solid waste issue, there may be, maybe Mr. City Manager, I'm not certain if Measure U is an appropriate place for additional funding for solid waste or the utilities for things like illegal dumping, because in my opinion, Sacramento, we've heard about a lot of the negative things that are happening as it relates to rent increases and all that, but what that means is that Sacramento is becoming much more attractive. People are coming to Sacramento. And so not only do we need more housing units, we need many more housing options in the city, but we also need to take care of what we have here, take care of our natural resources, our rivers and our parks, our free public amenities that people can use in this city, our bike trails, which are tremendous. And I think that it would be my hope that we recognize that either through some form of Measure U or some other allocation of city resources. And maybe, I'm not sure if Councilman Guerra, you've gotten an accurate accounting or sense of where and how the franchise fees are being utilized currently, because maybe there's some opportunity for us to really relook at how those funds are being allocated as well. So
clearly we need to, and this is something we brought up with the city manager, we don't have a true enough accounting to show that how those funds are being spent. There's no question that the demand and the calls for service are there. I mean, we looked at the 311 numbers, the code calls, but we need to make sure that we are tackling this problem using right data. And to your point, I also think we got to get down to basics, like our Measure U dollars or whatever the future dollars are, that we have to take care of the basic responsibilities of a city.
So I'm happy to join you in that effort. I also think that, coming up, we'll have discussions about how we potentially allocate city, this new, I don't want to call it a windfall because we don't know exactly how it's going to shake out, but we have a new burgeoning industry here in the city, the marijuana industry, as well as we have the opportunity with the Measure U. And if that works out, we could be in a position to really make some substantial investments in the city that really elevates our city to a place, that is an enviable place in this country and, in fact, in the world. And Sacramento is right on the cusp already. And if we make some of those right decisions, I think we get there. And it then continues to generate revenue from tourists and other things that we have that are positively affecting our community and taking the strain and the burden off of the general fund from chasing these same problems year after year after year. And so with that, I'll turn the mic over to our mayor. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Warren. Councilmember Ashby.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your work on this budget too. And the Budget and Audit Committee, as Councilmember Schneer said, put a lot of effort into this. I think for me, it's a budget I'm pretty proud of. Alan's right; it doesn't lay out district stuff. Sometimes we do that. For me, there is one item in here that will affect my district, although it is actually in Councilmember Harris's district, and that is the EMT piece. The circle that it covers reaches into my district a bit, which is great and fills a gap. But I'm proud of the investment in District 8 because we need it and because this is what we said we were going to do. And I want to be a part of that vote, and I want to be a part of moving it forward. I'm really proud of Councilmember Carr and Councilmember Jennings and Councilmember Warren for fighting for these services, for additional libraries and for kids and for pools and for community centers, and the things that they know when they're implemented in their communities really work to help address some of these issues. So I'm really proud to lend my vote to this budget and to those priorities across our city. This is what it's like for us to really work together and try to address issues, surgically. And Councilmember Guerra's point on code enforcement and Councilmember Warren echoing that is huge. I have always felt that District 2 just needed like a specialty team almost to come in and deal with code enforcement. And so if we can achieve that, either through SWA or through Measure U or through offsets in a budget, that would be I think it would be life-altering for portions of the city, particularly in District 2, 5, and 6. So I'd be more than happy to support it. And I can't wait till we get to the opportunity. I know Howard will look for those opportunities in the months to come, and we'll all be here to vote on that. So I think this is a prudent budget. It's, as Jay and I think for how many, this is our 8th budget, so this will be the 8th time I will hear Jay say, the budget speaks to our priorities. And I think this does speak to our priorities, youth and kids, and being prudent and trying to put together something that it's not full of one-offs. We're very focused right now on trying to be a city that can move forward, that can address things with Measure U, and I am proud of that effort and proud of this team, and I will be honored to vote on this budget tonight, so thank you to the budget team.
Thank you very much, Councilmember. Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. I would also like to thank staff, Don and Marion, and the city manager and Laney for putting together a budget. When you look at this, and Jay pointed it out, there it sits, there's a lot of red ink, starting next year. And it's something that we can't turn our head away from. So what that tells me is that we have to be judicious with every taxpayer penny that we pull in and spend them wisely. It's imperative. All of these projects that we each want to affect require money, and since the advent of the recession, every single department in this city made very drastic cuts. And as we've rebuilt, with the help of Measure U, every department has cut out the fat. You know, they've trimmed down the number of employees, they've looked at productivity, and they've found very creative ways to save money and guard their own department's budget. That being said, we still have drastic shortfalls in basics. And as Councilmember Guerra brought up, illegal dumping is a big issue. I would add to that, I appreciate those comments, by the way, very much. On top of that is you could call it illegal dumping of trash by the homeless, from which my district suffers greatly. And I've tried to work with the manager on numerous occasions to figure out how we can put together a budget to do pickup of trash that accumulates at an alarming rate. You know, illegal dumping, you get one big shot. It doesn't happen every day. But with homelessness, it happens every day, and in a volume that is absolutely staggering. One only has to look at the River District, just drive down North 12th Street and go down to Ahern and North B, and you'll know what I'm talking about. You know, it's no way to run the city, and I know the city manager is fully aware of that. So that's certainly an issue that we have to look at moving forward. Don, could I ask you a question, please? So as you know, I have long been a champion of doing our medical transport service in a way that I feel would save us a lot of money. It's a very substantial sum of money. We've talked about this many times. In adopting 6 FTE and standing up a Medic 4, these are dual role paramedic firefighters, which I think is a very expensive way to deliver this service. The promise made at the discussion when we were discussing the budget is that when this came back, we would try this for 6 months as a pilot program, correct? And that when we got to mid-year analysis, we would analyze the cost of the entire ALS system, not just the performance of Medic 4. Is that correct?
We agreed that we would bring back at mid-year the review of Medic 4, and that when we added Medic 4, we increased the revenue target for the department, so they do have to be meeting that target in order to continue Medic 4.
Well then, Mr. Manager, let me ask you the question, because that's what I heard at the budget discussion, was that we would not only look at the performance of Medic 4, but that we would review the overall cost of the ALS system and see if we were getting anywhere towards full cost recovery.
That's correct. So Medic 4, when we started it as a pilot using overtime, the discussion was to see if the fees generated by that Medic 4 on overtime covered its costs. The backstop to that also is that to make sure that when those revenues are calculated, they don't detract from the balance of the projected revenues that we had at that time. So that is what we're moving forward with.
So I just want to make a couple of comments. And you know, over the years, the ALS system has run at a deficit of about $5 million a year since 2013, and it's been backfilled by the general fund. This is of great concern to me because, you know, there have been many suggestions made over the last few years, certainly since I've been on council, about single-role paramedics and a different way to do service delivery from the fire department overall. At this dais, we have discussed the possibility of discussing peak hour contracting for ambulance services, 3-man engines, and how to get to full cost recovery for our emergency medical transport system. So, you know, there's an awful lot of good in this budget, an awful lot of good, but I'm hesitant to support it also unless I have a guarantee from the mayor and the manager that we will, in open session, have an honest and open discussion about how the fire department delivers its services so that we can get to the heart of the matter. We've been skirting around this issue for the last 3 years. The previous city manager tried to push this forward and was unsuccessful. The previous director of the fire department, Walt White, was not able to bring this to fruition either. So for what I perceive as purely political reasons, we have not had this honest discussion about these 3 aspects of the fire department. So if the mayor and the manager are amenable and willing to have this discussion, then I would certainly support this budget.
Thank you. If I may, before I turn it over to the next speakers, I want to answer Councilmember Harris's question, because you have been consistent in asking this question. The problem has been, in my view, and I've been mayor now for, 16, 17 months, is that the discussion about fire service efficiency, cost savings versus quality of service has always been held sort of behind closed doors. It's just the truth. And some of it is a matter subject to negotiation. And I've heard the stories before I got here about how it was promised publicly that there would be an open discussion and that it never happened. And you're rightfully frustrated, in my view, with that reality. So as I understand it, the city's obligation to Local 522 is to send a letter sometime in and around September to begin opening negotiations for a separate contract. So what I want to commit to here publicly, and we'd invite 522 to participate, of course, would be to have an open and public hearing here before the full city council to actually lay out the pros and cons on all of these issues. And I've heard it back and forth, but it's mostly been back behind these walls in my office, right? 522 argues you don't save money and that the quality of service suffers. Others have argued that you save resources and that the quality doesn't suffer. Metro Fire has single roles. Some say that's an appropriate analogy. Some say it isn't. Well, when in doubt, let's be completely transparent here about an issue that too often gets discussed in negotiations and are behind closed doors. So yes, in the month of September, August, September, whatever around that date is, I want to ask the city manager to please agendize this issue, thorough issue, and have a full informational hearing on this. Allow the public to participate, the exclusive representative to participate, obviously the full council and the staff to participate, and let's get the facts up on the chalkboard here, so to speak, and that will help frame the negotiations and will allow us to have the kind of discussion that should always be had, and that is out in public. That's what I ask for.
Mr. Mayor, I have to thank you for that. You know, you're right. I have been frustrated on this issue for 3 years, and basically having to have waited for a contract opener. So here it comes, and it's time to have this discussion. And if I'm proven wrong, that's fine. You know, if we have to spend as much as we do to get the service we want, as Larry Carr would say, then so be it. But you know, we really owe it to the taxpayers to have this discussion and have it out in the open. You know, this body voted to increase our fees for medical transport 24% last December. That's a very substantial rise, and we were doing that, I felt, because our service delivery mechanism was too expensive. So it's time to have that conversation. Since you are amenable to that, and I'm deeply appreciative to you and Howard for...
I think my mic was on when I said it, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, it's on the record. So that being said, you know, there's that much good in this budget that I'm definitely now in support, but the public has to look at that red ink and say, what are you guys going to do in the out years? It's looking pretty rugged next fiscal year with a structural deficit of $7.6 million. You know, we have some real issues ahead, folks, and no denying it. If we can't find a way to work with these issues, there will be cuts ahead. So let's see where we go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Jennings.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a proud moment for me to be a part of this council and to see the work that's been done by our budget team, by our budget and audit committee, by our mayor, our city manager, and by all my colleagues who are having this conversation. To sit here and listen to this conversation and how we're having it makes me very proud to be a part of this team. I think this is a budget that I strongly support. I think we've listened to the people, we've assessed the needs of our city, and we've now put forth a budget that we can all stand behind, knowing that we've done our job and done it well. Someone said there's an awful lot of good in this budget, and there is. I'm really proud of the District 8 investment. I'm proud of the District 2 investment. I could go around and probably look at each district and see a little bit of investment that's been made to make that district a little bit better. But I'm proud that we looked at each district and met the specific need that they have. There's just one area that I want to put on the table, and I don't really want to talk about it as it relates to this year's budget, but I do want to put the issue on the table as far as us at some point in time having a conversation. And I put it on the table because I want to know whether or not, is it just a District 7 issue, or is it a citywide issue? And is it an issue that we need to allot resources for at some point in time, either today or in the future? And that's around the speeding in Sacramento on our thoroughfares and especially around our schools. I know in District 7 we are dealing with major issues of parents and residents that are going too fast through our community, and they're putting our constituents at risk, they're putting our kids at risk. We've seen accidents where parents and kids are getting hit because of illegal U-turns and all those things. And so I've noticed that it's a major issue in District 7. I would imagine it to be an issue throughout the city. And I think at some point in time, it needs to be a priority for us if we want to have a safe city that everybody wants to live in. And so I just want to put it on the table because I think to some extent, technology may be able to help us, but it costs in order to bring the kind of technology in that could help educate our constituents. And we've been working on this for the last 4 years as far as education and not penalizing. And it would be very hard to penalize because we don't have the community-oriented policing in order to be able to put police out there to be able to give people tickets. So we've looked at a number of different strategies in order to slow it down, primarily humps and bumps, primarily stop signs, primarily other things like that. But we have not been very successful. And so I just want to put this on everybody's agenda, and if there's a bigger issue than just District 7, I think it's something that we need to make a priority and make sure that we allocate the funds necessary to address it.
Thank you very much. That's actually a good dovetail into my final comments here, Councilmember Jennings. I appreciate it. So I'm very proud as well, especially of the city team that worked so hard to put this together, city manager, your team, and my colleagues here who worked hard on this, and members of the community. But I would describe it a little differently. I'm proud but unsatisfied. Because I just go around the dais tonight. Listen, how can you argue against additional officers to address speeding on our thoroughfares? How can you argue against expanding community policing? How can you argue against resources to combat illegal dumping? How can you argue against resources for economic development, not only in District 2, but throughout the entire city, and especially those neighborhoods that need it most? How can you argue against Councilmember Carr's request? And of course, we found a way to accommodate it, but let's be honest. He could have asked for a lot more, and it would have been justified.
I did.
You did. And it was justified. And then you look at these numbers up here, and yes, there's a lot of red ink here. And so I'm not going to repeat my speech from last Thursday, but let me just state clearly, because this is the evening audience, and many may be watching this. In my view, as we approach this Measure U question, the only way we are going to be able to not just accommodate, but to expand that which the people want in our great city is to grow the pie. That's it. Got to grow the pie. More jobs, more housing, more inclusive economic development. The numbers reveal that. Look, the red ink goes way out there. So no matter what we do with the Measure U, if all we do is just feed it into this equation here, it's not going to be enough to do all that we want to do. got to grow in a modern economy here. That's our real opportunity over the months ahead. So I think it's appropriate that this budget be a status quo budget, that we deliberately looked at it this year, all of us collectively, both the staff and the membership, and said, you know, we want to do more. The needs are greater, but now is the time to hold the line as we go out to the voters and ask them whether they want to invest not only in our core city services, but in growing a more modern, inclusive economy. And that, I think, allows us to have that discussion and make that argument in a more effective way. And so I'm an aye vote as well, and appreciate the discussion and all of the work. All right, is there a motion and a second? Yes. There is. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstain. The budget passes unanimously tonight. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it. And thank you to all the staff. Very good. Okay, let's move on to the next item here. We have several items left. By the way, I think it was announced, wasn't it already, that item 29, the Cannabis Equity Program, is removed from the agenda for now to be reset at a future date. So I wonder if we might get through 25, 26, 27, and 28.
Mayor, I can make quick
Pretty
work of
quickly.
I can make quick work of 25 here, I think. Do you have anything that you need to state for the record on 25?
Nope.
Okay. This is a pretty straightforward deal, District 1 specific. I would open and close the public hearing. I believe there's a requirement for one, and move the item. I just have one question. Is there anybody signed up to speak? I do see Mr. Murray in the audience, but I doubt he put in a speaker slip. Yeah.
I have no speakers on this item.
Okay, great. Moved and seconded, Mayor. Thank you. And thanks to the team. This is actually a really, really hard thing that they did, but good work.
Thank you, and sorry you didn't get to deliver your report, but I'm sure it was an excellent one. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
And you look good tonight, too.
Any public testimony?
I have no speakers.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. No questions from members. So all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstain. Thank you. That passes 9-0. Thank you, Councilmember Ashby. How about item 26, the Neighborhood Lighting District? Can Councilmember Chenier move that one? Moved and seconded.
27, 28 together.
Open and close.
Okay, can we take 26 and 27 together, Madam?
And can we open and close the public hearing?
Open and close the public hearing and move the items.
Okay, is there anything you would like to add, seriously? If there's anything to put on the public record that is important? Okay, there's a full report. There is no public testimony. So all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstain. Those matters pass. 9-0, 26 and 27. We now move to item 28. This is the Business BIA Annual Report. Is this a receive and file? Is that what this is?
It's a public
hearing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor Steinberg, members of the City Council.
Sorry,
Mayor.
Councilmember Guetta.
Yeah, I'd like to open and close the public hearing on this
Perfect.
item.
It's moved and been seconded, but let's. We understand it's been a long meeting, but is there anything that you want to add beyond the written report that you think the public would want to know?
So just a standard open a public hearing unless you want. We don't have any speakers on it.
Okay, no particular controversies that we need to know about?
Not at this point.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. That's been moved and seconded then. On item number 28, no public testimony. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstain. Okay, 29's continued. Item, did we continue 30 as well?
No, we didn't, but I'm happy to open and close the public hearing and move item 30.
And I will second that motion.
We've heard this in Law and Ledge.
Okay.
Gone through it.
The late penalty for cannabis permit renewal.
No, the late penalties for
Joe.
Law and Ledge.
Mr. Devlin, is there anything you want to add to the public record, sir?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, there is no public testimony. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained. Very good. Item 31 is an information item only. Are there council ideas and questions here. Members, Councilmember Carr.
Yes, I want to make sure that this doesn't fall through the cracks, and I'm not sure who should do this, if it's the city manager, the mayor, or Lauren Ledge. But before we're asked to vote on a rent control measure, I would like to get some people in here who could tell us, who are not biased. We know what we're going to get from the rent control advocates. We know what we're going to get from the building association. But there are legitimate studies out there, and there are people who have written about this. I'd like to get them in here on both sides of this issue so we can become educated, so we're not voting in the dark on this. Is that something that you would do, Jay?
I think that would be for the full council rather than Law and Ledge, because we would just repeat it for the council. This is too large of an issue. Huh?
Who would organize that?
I think the city manager.
City manager? Okay.
Yeah.
Before we have to vote, at least the week before we have to vote.
I think that there would be multiple conversations on this with plenty of folks, so this is not a easy or contained issue. But yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm not interested in hearing from the advocates. They're going to be here, but people who've studied this issue. Say again? Oh, yes. The other thing, Mr. Mayor, we didn't get a quorum for our P&PE meeting today. And one member was absent because of personal reasons. Another member was hung up on a flight coming in. And it really inconveniences the people who take the time to come down to interview and the like.
Yes.
So could we get alternates appointed for each of the members, so we will ensure that we will have a quorum? You are usually here, and Jeff Harris is always here.
I'm absolutely fine with that, you know, and yes, we can do that. And the other thing I don't understand, and it's be a conversation with the city attorney, which is very different than the way we operated at the state level. I don't understand why committees cannot convene even without a quorum to have discussion. They can't vote. You can't vote without a quorum. But why couldn't one person conduct an interview and then make a recommendation to the others? I mean, sometimes it feels here a little rigid in terms of, like, we can't keep the roll open here at the dais when somebody has to go use the restroom when there's a vote and all this business. And I don't know, I just think that process-wise, I just have experienced it a little bit differently. And that's an example.
A couple of the appointments were required to have the committee interview them, and we couldn't open the meeting because we didn't have a quorum.
I'm happy to consider, if it's the council's will, to consider alternates.
Mayor, I think
Yes.
there's two possible solutions for it. One is you could be the alternate to P&PE. Mayor, just whoever the mayor is, could be the alternate to P&PE. And the other thing is P&PE really doesn't need 4 members. If it only had 3 members, then the quorum would be 2, and it would be a lot easier. So one of those two things could be the solution for P&PE as well, specifically.
Okay, so why don't we consider this over the next week? We'll talk, we'll figure out how to best do it, because you're right, we don't want to inconvenience the public, especially that comes to take their time for an interview. Thank you, it's a good suggestion. Councilman Warren?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One comment, the June 24th, we're having a jazz and soul concert in the park at Nuevo Park. It'll start at 1 p.m. We'll have vendors. We'll have a very famous R&B headliner, Cameo, will be performing at the park. And so it's a free concert in District 2, and I want to invite the community out, my colleagues as well, to come out. And the theme is going to be jazz, soul, and barbecue. Okay? So it should be a packed park. It should be a lot of fun. Hope you can come out.
Sounds great. It was stated to end. Councilman Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. The Gardenlands Northgate Neighborhood Association Board meeting is this Thursday, June 14th at 6:30 p.m. at Stanford Settlement, 450 West El Camino. You know, one of the best parts of my job is that I get to select the bands for Pops in the Park. And this Saturday will be Jessica Malone. She's a young singer-songwriter, and she is a tremendous musician and vocalist. So I'm very excited about this concert. The last two have been tremendous. We had, I think, thus far 6,000 participants who came to see the shows. And so it starts June 16th, 6 to 9 p.m. at McKinley Park. And the Food and Beer Garden open at 5 p.m. We hope to see you there.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Jennings.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Trucks and Such is back at Garsha Park this Friday the 15th from 5 to 8 p.m. It's a great evening to hang out with friends, enjoy incredible food, and it's an event that you don't want to miss. And then also on the 15th, we have a new event that is really catching fire. It's the Valley High Bike Party. And you talk about people who take their bikes and dress them up to the max and then go all throughout Valley High showing off their bikes and their lights and everything like that. It's a party that you don't want to miss. It starts at the Mack Road Valley High Community Center. It will start at 7 p.m. and end at 11 p.m. They want to make sure that you check out the Valley High Bike Party Facebook page if you want to see for yourself what a good time it is. But I want to let you know this Friday from 7 to 11 p.m., come join the Valley High Bike Party. And if you just have a regular bike that doesn't look real good, they'll help you to dress it up.
That sounds great. Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. This Saturday, June 16th at 2 p.m., join us for the Fire Station 10 open house from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. over at 66th Street in Fruit Ridge. Also, on next Wednesday at the college, join us for the College Glen food truck event that's going to happen from 5 p.m. to 8 o'clock over at Glenbrook Park. All the families welcome to come out there. And while you're there, you can join us at 6 p.m. to celebrate with the neighborhood and the College Glen Little League for the ribbon cutting for the improvements that we've done to Glenbrook Park. So join us there at the same time. And if you have a little bit of time to go over to Tahoe Park, join us for the East Command Cafe on Wednesday, June 20th at 6:30 over at the Sacramento Police Department Command Center over at 7397 San Joaquin Street, and get to meet our local law enforcement officers and talk to them about issues that are impacting you or happening in the neighborhood. And finally, June 22nd is the Tahoe Park food trucks at Tahoe Park at 5 o'clock.
Wow, sounds great. Councilman Chenier.
Thank you, Mayor. I have an adjourn in memory. I don't know if you have any comments.
No, go ahead, please. Why don't you?
So I want to adjourn in memory of Do Vang. Do was a Hmong shaman and midwife who passed away this past Sunday, June 10th. She was 102 years old. She lived in Council District 5 for over 35 years. She is the great-grandmother of school board member Mai Vang. She leaves behind 64 grandchildren and great-grandchildren. She delivered babies for over 75 years and was a wise elder to many and a community healer who has kept Hmong traditional medicine culture alive. Do was born in 1916 and began her role as a midwife at the age of 19 in Laos. Prior to her resettlement in the United States in 1979, at the age of 63, Do also worked tirelessly to help many Hmong women conceive and deliver babies safely in Laos and as a refugee in the camps of Thailand. For the past 39 years in the U.S., Do selflessly dedicated her life as a midwife, medicine woman, and shaman to ensure the healthy birth of hundreds of babies and safe deliveries for Hmong mothers in California and the U.S. Until her death, Do provided social support and culturally competent care to Hmong women and their doctors and bridged Western and Hmong birthing practices, working closely with nurses and doctors at Sutter Memorial and Mercy Hospital to provide perinatal care to Hmong women. Since few Western providers understand Hmong culture and birthing practices, Do's presence helped build trust between her patients and their doctors. As a result of Do's efforts, many Hmong women now are able to maintain their culture and traditions surrounding birth while also receiving critical early perinatal care. So we adjourn tonight in her honor and her memory.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, and condolences to to my, I met great-grandma one time, and 102, what a life well lived. Thank you.
64
That'd be
children,
mine.
64 grandchildren and great-grandchildren. It's a number of teams.
Thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you. It worked out.